Stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, Forbidden History Live. What they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Now's the time to call your friends. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as hate, medical, nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, and on YouTube.com as Forbidden History Live, the Forbidden History series, the old archives, and Ninja Cat 111 on the Forbidden History Chronicles, what they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Hey, Lynn, good to have you. Stand by for the broadcast. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's Forbidden History Live with your host, Dezert-Owl. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here, because somebody's got to do it, and that's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by for the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, because I'm here and you're there, and here is where we bring you the most important information on the face of the entire earth or under the earth. Here is where each week we bring you the very best in radio broadcast listening while we reveal the greatest secrets and the deeper mysteries of life. Yet the one question that will always remain will be this: can you handle the truth as it will be presented here this afternoon, this evening, at the early dawn, in the future, wherever you are around the world? Stand by for the broadcast, because it's Forbidden History Live. And some people just can't handle the truth. You know, they say, Dave, come on, don't give me the truth. Just give me the fiction, okay? That's all I can handle. Show me a line that I can stand in somewhere. I need to stand in a line. I haven't stood in a line lately. Somebody please tell me what line to stand in. I need somebody to direct my thoughts and my thinking for me. And that's the nature of planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to blow it all out of the water and make lemonade out of lemons, because that's what we like to do here, okay? And so keep on listening to the tune here, and we'll be right back with the scoop, ladies and gentlemen, on planet Earth, what they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Don't go away. I'll be right back. is part 2 of the For Our FENTON Bible in Ganesha Genesis. Tell your friends. Still time. Ladies and gentlemen, glad you're here, because if you weren't there, I wouldn't be here. But the question is, if you weren't there, or if I weren't here, would you be there? You know, and we got to think about that. Of course, how did we get here? That's the real question, right? And who am I? Why am I here? Where am I? Why am I? And when am I? And you know, all those important questions but we stopped asking questions at one point. You know, when we came into the world, we said, you know, why is this? Why? And then somebody said, all right, little one, stop asking questions, okay? That's enough. You don't ask questions. I give answers. No, let's turn on the TV, the boob tube, you know, and all the guys want to watch the boobs, and women, you know, when they were housewives at the time, you know, there's no more, housewives don't exist anymore, I don't think, but now they're, you know, back then it was the soap operas, you know, the soapy operas, making them all cry, okay? You know, the satire and all that stuff. You know, remember Dr. Kildare, Dare to Kill Doctor, yeah, and Perry Mason, yeah, you know, the Masons were all getting fat on the people, and on and on and on, and it's just an amazing soap opera we got going on this planet. You know, while they want you to worry about Tammy and Bippy and who's you know, betraying who, and what's the next war we're going to have, and everything. Our world is crashing, and you know, but the real issues, ladies and gentlemen, you know, they don't bring on. The thing you need to know is whatever issues they're bringing on are not the real issues. Okay, and so it's not what they're saying that you want to hear, but it's what they're not saying. You know, they're Nazis, right? Of course, they're not say. They're not say. It's what they not say that you want to hear, and that's what we bring you right here on Forbidden History Live, okay? It's forbidden. You know it. Of course it's forbidden, right? And it's not going to be around very long, so while we got you, we, you know, welcome your support. Welcome, tell another friend, okay, while we get it, while you got it, because, you know, the way I've been on the wash and rinse cycle for so long now, I know how the game is played, you know, and on this planet, of course, nothing is eternal but our spirit itself and the truth. Our spirit goes somewhere, and you better make sure it's going to the right place. And want to welcome all of our listeners to the broadcast, our new listeners. And I see we've got Vena Windfire. Hello, good afternoon to you. I don't remember seeing you here before. Nice flower, like that. And Just Love, see you. And so grateful to have you on the broadcast as well, because I've been hanging on to the first time you popped in, and then you had a couple questions. And when I did the review, I said, wait a minute, you know, I didn't see that. And so I wrote these things down, T-Love. So let me run that by you. Well, first I've got, and Brad, welcome to the program. And so T-Love, you had a... let's see here. What do we have here? Okay. You said wasn't able first, and I thought that was an interesting question. You know, and because I don't know, I'd be curious how you came up with that question, actually, because you're reading the code is what you're doing. You see, because as we know, AB comes before C, and C is for Cain. But correctly, it's the G, and it's gain, because he wanted to gain everything in his own selfish way, you know. But AB is, yeah. So see, there's a story behind the Cain and Abel narrative, and basically what it is that Abel represents that which is first, but in the lower realm, in this lower garden, below the garden of the atoms, the lower garden down here in dense matter. We are in. Is that Teresa? Is that Vena Windfire? Is that Teresa? Was that what you were saying? Okay, Teresa. That was. Gee, I forgot your other name now, Teresa. If that's you, Just trying to clarify. But anyway, so in the story about uh, um, Abel, then, so what it's telling us, okay, Lynn, that's a yes from you. Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. So nice, very nice. So okay, so yeah, it's telling us that Abel represents, that was first, but before the creation came to be. You see, and so because the fire came first, the fire, the irony, then so it means that he then will come last. So that which is first will ultimately come last. So Abel in the archetype then represents the Yeshua. He represents the one who's going to come at the end of time, which was 2,000 years ago. Yeah, okay. And so I'm watching the chat and I'm trying to talk at the same time and it don't work. Let me focus down here. Okay, so Abel, yeah. So you see, so what did he represent? He represented the sheep. He represented the Ashaph. Correctly, sheep is Ashaph. And so he's sitting under a shade tree. He's chewing on a piece of grass while all the other sheep are eating grass, and he don't have to work. And then the sheep gives him the covering for clothing, and and then Cain is out there in the field and he's sweating and wiping his brow and burning in the hot sun and having to dig dirt, and and he's not happy about it, looking at his brother over there, and then he's got this job, you see. And so all of it is symbolic. And so yeah, AB, as in the legal parlance, ab initio means from the beginning, from the initiation, the first initiation, ab initio, which is from the Latin sense. It does mean that which is first. So you got it. But it would be more correctly, Abel is a corruption though. So Abel would be AV of Ul. Okay, so there's Abel, Avul. Okay, I should have put them both together. ABEL, and then becomes AVOOL. Okay, and so literally means the star of vision. So Abel, by Av being the star, the AV is, when you put them together, you get the six-pointed star for creation. So AV, when you see the combination, it's not AB, it's AV, and it means the star. And then you see the Ul is the owl, and then obviously it means to have vision in the night, and so it's the star of vision. So that's what Abel represented. Who is the star of vision? Who is the star ram? Who is the true Zav ram? It is Yeshua, right? So Abel represented Yeshua, and then when we read the story in the lost books of the Bible, not in our Hebrew Masorite Egyptian version that we got from the Jewish banking Masorites, but the one that the slice that comes out of the lost books of the Bible, when Cain was hitting his brother over the head, and he wasn't killing him properly, then Abel says, "My brother, if you want to kill me, grab that rock over there and hit me over the head with it outright, okay?" And so he went from taking a bludgeoning instrument to a rock, and he kills him. So Abel representing the first Aryan, okay, because this was the Aryan race through Adam and Eve, which is a misnomer for Hadam and Keva. He represented the sacrifice that Yeshua was going to bring forth. And in fact, I'm convinced, just like Enoch, Melchizedek, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael, all are Yeshua. Also, Abel was Yeshua in the flesh as well. He was willing to get himself hit over the head in this narrative. And what's ironic is that then the occultist, in the darkness, the pretenders of virtue while they're drinking blood and sacrificing babies on the altar, are worshiping Abel. That's where the word bull comes from. They're worshiping the bull, the softer light of the moon. That's what Abel represents in the metaphor and symbol, whereas Cain represents the fire of the sun, the Cain, the keys of fire, chain. All of these aspects are within this mythology. It is mythology. Mythology is not a bad word. Mythology got a bad rap. And every time somebody wants to say something is false, they say it's a myth, when the correct terminology would be it's a fallacy. There's your phallus right there. there's your illusion. It's all in the head of all the, the Masons and all the, the occultists. The phallus. That's the thing that they worship the most. Not the sovereign of the universe, not the spirit. And so T Love, you're saying Avul just wanted to leave, even when he reincarnated as Yeshua, he wanted to leave, and even now. Okay, yeah, I think I got you, Just Love. Okay, and yeah, so we have to read the symbols. If we're not reading the symbols, then we're just reading a child's tale. And in fact, the child's tale have been very slanted and corrupted by the priesthoods and by the pseudo-Israel, which is really the Yiddish, culture that, come from the Khazarian Jewish line and are not Israel. If anything, they are Adamites, which is a misnomer, which was corrupted into Edomites, and which was corrupted then into Idumeanites. So that's how they keep playing the game with us, ladies and gentlemen, by changing all the words and all the what have yous. And by the way, before I well, okay, you have one more question. Then I'm trying to look at my notes here so I don't get confused. And Kip, good to have you. Welcome to the broadcast. And so your T Love, your other question was, who is Yahweh, or the YHVH? Is this Jehovah? I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and hard to explain to Mom. And so, okay, so the YHVH, okay, the YHVH, which is misnomered as YAHWEH, is correctly Yahweh, AHLL, Yahvol, VOLHAY. Here we go. Okay, so Yahweh, the tetragrammaton is YHV. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I can't. Okay, my head is spinning. Okay, hang on. YHVH. I think I got it now. There you go. Okay, so the YHVH is Yah. They pronounce as Yahweh, but there is no W. You see, the W is the flipped over M, and that's how they created confusion. And so Jehovah, okay, Just Love is Jupiter. That's Zeus. We're talking now Greek mythology. And so how did we end up in Greek culture? From the Eastern Aramaic culture into the Western Greek culture. How did that happen? You see, and it's because that's how the priesthood has played the game with us to disassociate us from our root. And so Jehovah is Jove. Remember the terminology, by Jove, right? Jove is Jupiter. So Jove was is a reflection on Yahweh. In other words, they're both the same character type, right? And so they were the great father. And then comes along the son, who in the pure tradition of Eshereul is Yeshua is the Moeshiach, so he's the son. But in the Greek culture, it's Zeus, who's known as the healing Zeus. Interesting, Yeshua was a healer, so they're both healers. But then what we find out is that in spite of the fact that Zeus is the son of Jupiter, yet Zeus is regarded as the supreme Elohim, the supreme God. You see? And that's the same with Yeshua. As he said when he rose from the dead, all power on heaven and on the earth and in the throne of the sun and all the stars has been given unto me. All the power of the cosmos was given unto him. So you see, they're parallel stories, but one is from the false tradition, so therefore it's more obscure and corrupted, whereas now even our pure tradition has been obscured and corrupted. Okay, so yeah, so we don't serve Jehovah because there is like the word Zeus, we thought was Jesus. All these decades I did until I got into my Indo-Germanic dictionaries a little deeper and got a couple more, and then all of a sudden I'm looking, there's Zeus. Wait a minute, Zeus means pig snout. Okay, and then obviously there's no J for Jesus, that's a Y, and that's ye, and so it's ye pig snout, meaning you pig snout. You see? And so this is what the occultists have done to us. They gave us false narratives. They've done switch outs, and they destroyed our tradition. They killed us in the process. If you got a birth certificate, you were killed twice, spiritually and physically. They bonded your hide. And so same with the Messianic movement, which is very messy. I like that term, Messianic. It's really messy because they follow Yeshua. And Yeshua in the Babylonian Talmud, which is where it comes from, means may his name be blotted out forever. And it seems like that's what they pretty much have done, blotted out his name forever. But yet in Revelations, the good news is Yeshua is saying, and I shall give you a name that nobody else is naming. Nobody else, right? Why? Because the common name that we've all been given is a false one, and hiding behind it is the true one and the original one. And that's what we're conveying here on this broadcast. You know, if I talk to somebody on the street, I might still say Jesus or Jesus Christ, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to relate to me. You see, so we have to use that's why Maximus said, you know, the Caesar that we saw, the old man that died in the movie Gladiator at the beginning of the movie, and his son took over, you know, but that Maximus said that in the future we will have to learn, people are going to have to be bilingual. But the truth is we have to be trilingual, okay? That's Dezert-Owl, because you need to know the legal diction, which is constantly changing like the weather. That's the ultimate occultic trick they've been playing on us. That's why they can railroad us into prison when we've done nothing wrong. And then we've got to learn the common diction, of course, and then the legal, or excuse me, the spiritual diction, the original thought. So that's what we're doing here. And so Jehovah can be used in the sense when you're talking to somebody on that level, but just to know that these are fronts. These are fronts, and have removed the original word. Like Lord God in the Old Covenant is not Lord God. Lord in Middle English means the woman, the woman who gives us our bread. That then God, yeah, Lord, my head is spinning again, so hang on a minute. Lord is the woman who gave us our bread. Then when we go back into the supplement over Yahweh, and they put in Adonai, when it goes into the English, becomes Lord, but it means our mother who gave us our bread. Our mother who gave us our bread. And then we read Adonai backwards, and then we see it's India. Oh, okay, so there's where our mother who gives us our bread. India, yeah, because the sun rises in the east first. They're claiming to be the power of the sun. They're running the world secretly. The ancient Aryan Brahmin Hindu priesthood, and so they're the mother who's been feeding us our bull, all the bull we would eat from them, and they're the ones who created industry in the Indus Valley, the land of the Sindh, of the 5 rivers, and they're behind the scenes on all things. You'll see the Hindu in the movies, right? And so Donai means the rising sun, and so the sun rises in the east first. And so even the word steward, like, do you want to be a good steward? Well, the word steward means someone who feeds pigs. That's a steward. And so I guess then they got all the stewardesses on the airplanes, right, feeding all the pigs, because that's what steward means. And if you're a stewardess, you're feeding the pigs. So that's how they're playing a game on us, ladies and gentlemen, just like you put on the shirt and pants, and that's the shirt pant, the serpent. You see, all your life you've been putting on the serpent and you didn't even know it. And so to confirm that Lord, which is Adonai, which is India backwards, and that's the mother star that's been feeding us our meals, feeding us our bull. Well, then we have in the cultic Freemasonry the woman's branch, which is known as the Eastern Star. The Eastern Star, going back to the woman that is India that feeds us our bread, okay? So there you go, T-Love. Thank you for your question. I've been hanging on to that for a few days. Glad you came back, and welcome to the broadcast again, okay? And we have new friends on perhaps today, and love to hear from you. If you want to put a question in the chat, then put my name Desert in all capital letters, Dezert, and then I'll see it pop up, and I'll know that you got a question for me, okay? And then I want to thank Crystal Keith, one of our listeners from the broadcast. She's been on pretty regular, and I got a message coming in. No, I just got a thumbs up here. Oh, wait a minute, I got a message coming in here. Hang on. Okay, where's this? Okay, Ninja, you're texting me. Uh, uh, oh, thank you, thank you. She's filling me in on the blanks. Okay, uh, and thank you for the follow up note as well, Ninja. Okay, so anyway, I want to thank Crystal Keith because she sent a very nice email, and so I just wanted to read her statement real quick because it's not very often we get um, comments from people by email or anything like that, and wish she says I wish I was able to make a donation. However, if my financial situation changes, you will be the first to receive a donation. Really enjoying learning this now that I am aware it's much simpler than first imagined. Thank you so much. This means the world to me, and the power that comes with it is one of the greatest gifts anyone's ever given to me. Seeking the truth brings righteousness, which means perfection in the flowing light, and your crown in heaven, which is the throne of the Son. Your crown in heaven will be one of a kind for bringing this to light. Peace be with you, love, light, and eternally grateful. I remain, Crystal. Well, Crystal, I that touched my heart so much. I'm so grateful that you shared, and we got, and Shelly, our engineer, got you those PDFs, so like we say, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome a donation for the different products that we're producing for you here. The Book of Wisdom by the great uncle of Yeshua, the Book of Wisdom by Joseph of Arimathea. It's the greatest book of wisdom you'll ever read. Or the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary I did in 2011, 300 pages, 8.5 by 11, a mind blower. Or the most current version of our dictionary, which is attached to a sample of the original gospel. Okay, you can get them. Yeah, we're not on PayPal anymore because PayPal put the screws to us. So they wanted personal information for a PayPal account after I had it for 15 years. Now they want me to give numbers and places and all this other stuff. Wow! And they said they were just wanting to protect my account. I think they were committing blackmail and holding a donation. So actually a couple donations, and not passing them on to me until I gave them my information. So I certainly give PayPal a black eye here, and because they put us out of commission, and when it was just supposed to be a buddy system, like, okay, I'll give you some money, I'll send it through PayPal, and nobody needs to know anything about anybody, and so but now it's the communist takeover in full blossom again, yeah. So anyway, we got and again, Crystal, thank you for your comments, and we get other comments. Another one came in by that way was very nice comment on the program yesterday. So it's very touching because we don't hear from a lot of people. In the sense of as you see, we have a very small group of friends that tune in here, ladies and gentlemen. We really, if you've been following us a little while, we really have $1 million broadcast, because eternal life is priceless, and therefore we can't really put a price on it. But at the same time, I've been broadcasting for off and on for about 30 years. I started as a political activist when I saw we were in trouble. Then I learned the truth, okay, the whole truth, and then after that, I took what I learned through my broadcasting efforts as a political activist and put it into our spiritual pursuit, and it took a 30-year journey to be able to get here, actually, because I had to produce my own radio network, therealpublicradio.net. You can still check it out. It's a radio museum, therealpublicradio.net, and that's where I was broadcasting for 6 years until Double Troubles came in and cost me everything. Of course, when you do it out of your back pocket, you can't do it all full time and do a regular job at the same time. So you rely on donations, and then people always come along. I ended up with, after all my experience with the classics, saying that I don't ever have to screw anything up, because somebody will always come along and do it for me, and that's typically what's happened through this great odyssey I've been through. They're everywhere. They're hiding behind the bushes. They're in the sewer. That's where the hitman was that shot Kennedy. Okay, all of the 7 shootists that were in all different points on different buildings. All of these Cuban mafia that were going to shoot Kennedy in the head all missed him. Except one got him in the throat, right? And so the last one was some kid in his teens, like maybe 17 years old, and he's put in the sewer right there in Dealey Plaza, and there was a chalk mark put on the side of the sewer, and so the driver was told if you look back, and this is why the driver looked back. You see, you saw that on the Secruder film, but he says if you look back and the president is still not shot, then stop at the chalk mark. When you see the chalk mark, stop. And then that's where the guy could get a clear shot on him without him moving and blow his head off. And then the driver then raced it back up again. You see, but they cut that clip out where the car actually stops. And the whole protocol was if the president is being shot upon, you hit the gas, buddy. You hit the gas. But instead, he looks back, and then he stops because the president was not yet dead. He was only shot in the throat, you see. So that's how it happened. You got to get the documentary, A Rich Man's Game. I believe it's called A Rich Man's Game, okay? And when you watch that documentary, it's all spelled out in there. This guy was a genius who pulled all of this piece of the puzzle together. It's all in that one. You don't need to see any other movie, not JFK, nothing. Just watch it's A Rich Man's Game, okay? And you'll get it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we're working our way towards our part 2 read on the Fenton Bible that we're going to work through and post it on for our Fenton Bible Daily Read, our other YouTube channel. And we got cut off yesterday, had a technical problem, and stuff will happen in broadcasting, that's for sure. And anything that can happen will eventually happen. But right now I want to get into some more words, okay? And what I might need to do is just take a short break. Shelley, can you do us a short break? Just to, so I can rest my throat a minute. I need to pace myself. I'm over 60, ladies and gentlemen. So, been at this a long time and I'm wearing down. And I'm just plain sick of it, aren't you? I'm sick of it, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Time to call your friends. When we come back, we'll do words and then we'll be on with For Our Fenton Bible. You did tell your friends, right? And Kip, I see you got a comment up there, so I'll address it when we get back also, okay? Good to have you all. Be right back.
so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies. Have your eyes been blinded by the lies? Yes, your eyes are blinded by the lies.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
The New World Order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
Welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you. Hey, Jet, good to have you on the broadcast. Our horse lady, she's got quite a horse ranch going over there in Southern California, and does some wonderful YouTube. So check it out, and and subscribe to her channel. And of course, everybody here, is doing something rather interesting. It's quite a phenomenon we have, obviously, with YouTube, although I think they took the U out of it, and but maybe we can call it the tube now. And because we're all going down the tubes, it seems like, and I know my days are numbered here. Where can we go to say it like it is, right? And gonna have to go underground. I guess that's the way they did it. So I'll have to pull together the realpublicradio.net again once we can get some backing. And anybody know a millionaire out there? Okay, I mean, his funny money is not going to be worth anything real soon. Maybe he'd like to throw some funny our way. So let him know, okay? And so Kip, you where are you at, Kip? Where'd that go? Okay, there you are. Okay, so you can you elaborate on these objects in our skies? Some of which I think you have said are ancient. Is that from Enoch? And thank you. So Kip, good question. And thank you. Well, the irony about being put at the right place at the right time, Kip, is my journey in life has been so surreal, and clearly I would say pre-designed by Yeshua, who is Yahweh, because I'd like to call it the Adventures of Dezert-Owl. Where I've been, the way the pieces in the puzzle. What's really funny about the Illuminati families is that those who I've talked to, I had some that listened to me a long time, then they call me one day and we become friends. They're not, they're not all bad people. They just grew up in a clique, and they're like the outer circle. They're not with an agenda. Some of them may be, but I've rubbed shoulders with them, and often they were the victims. They were coming out and come out with their life, when they were actually raised to be a ritual sacrifice, but it never happened. All these different, things. And so they were put at the right place at the right time, and everything they did turned to gold. That's why all the corporations are basically run by sellouts, because they're not really sellouts. They never were one of us. They were part of the inner circle of Aryanism / Nazism, and that's correctly Nazare, but Nazareism, I guess you might say. But and so their society, just like if you're not a Mason, then at one point when you want to get to the to the top shelf of economics in marketing, or you got a new product or a new invention, unless you got the secret handshake, you're going to be shut out. It's a closed shop. You see, it's like going to the bank, for the loan. Okay, so I'm pointing out, how things work for them, and how everything works for them, because they're a closed shop, and unless you got the handshake, you're not going to get that job or that next position, or what I'm saying. And so so that's how the Father put me, in my life in different situations, and he saved my life over and over. And so and one of the unique situations was I had somebody doing typesetting for my cottage industry, my future publishing company that I was trying to pull together, the non-spoken word publications, because I was already transliterating 35, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. All in that process, I was growing, learning, and developing and writing and wanting to publish this or wanting to publish that, and hoping I could pull it together. That's when I discovered our world just went to hell in a handbasket, and it looked like there was no future, and they're coming to kill us. That's when I got stuck in an 18-wheeler. And so this guy that was doing, I was doing my typesetting for me in California, actually in San Diego. I was living in Texas at the time. He was a writer, and I could, he was writing about esoteric stuff and aliens and UFOs and stuff, and so I called him one day because my wife basically did most of the communicating with him for the business. So, but I read some of his stuff, and I knew he was like 20 years my senior and probably knew something, and was rather interesting. And so I called him after I listened. So what happened? I listened to talk radio for a year. While I was stuck in an 18-wheeler doing hazmat, delivering in the ship channel area of Houston, and then all of a sudden I figured something out as a researcher. Whoa, looks like we're in trouble, because these people are defrauding us. The American government is a fraud, and so I wrote a 6-page thesis, and I said, okay, I'm going to read this to a few people, and if they tell me I'm crazy, then I'll just go back to doing what I was doing. But if this is true. If this is really true, then I've got to, somehow get involved. That's what I thought, because we're in trouble. They're coming to kill my family. They're coming after, my little ones. And so I, I figured, okay, I'll call this guy, because he looks pretty smart and he's writing, he's a writer. So I call him up. I say, hey, Bill, how's it going? I wrote this 6-page thesis on what's going on in our world. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm crazy, and it looks like we're being run by a bunch of, a wealthy oligarchy, that has it in for us. So I said, can I read this to you? He goes, sure. So I read the 6 pages, and when I got done, he says, well, not only is everything, you wrote in there correct, but let me tell you a little bit more. Come to find out, Bill was a retired intelligence officer. He was actually voice at Mission Control for 2 years. He was friends of the Apollo 5 astronauts who were murdered in the tin can program of Apollo 5. Grissom, White, and Chafee, and you didn't miss it then if you just came back, because I started telling the story a little bit, Kip, how I got into this arena of knowing you just came back in time. Okay, so I found out the guy doing typesetting for my cottage industry for my book publishing was who was so good in computer graphics and all this. And he was an author and wrote about all this esoteric stuff. Turns out he's a retired intelligence officer and voice and mission control for 2 years, and also did many of the animations for the unmanned space probes they sent out. He did animations for all that, and he was friends of the Apollo 5 astronauts who were burned alive in Apollo 5 to put everybody else on notice. Hey, you're going to shut up and you're going to do what you're told to do, or you're going to have a problem. And so the murder of the 3 astronauts on Apollo 5 was to put everyone else on notice, basically. And even the day that Apollo 5 was burned, burned under a pure oxygen blanket by having a switch that was going to short circuit so that they could burn up. Was it Grissom? I think it's Grissom put a lemon on top of the Apollo 5 to show they were going into a lemon. So he was pretty upset about the whole deal. And his career changed. But anyway, so it turns out that Bill, with his background, was filling me on a lot of stuff. But, I would conclude that once an intelligence officer, always an intelligence officer. He was there as a Navy intelligence, a photojournalist at the Bay of Pigs invasion. Then he became part of DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, all of that stuff. And so I had, an inside scoop from him. And so he filled me in on a lot of pieces of the puzzle. Then when I fell under a squadron of UFOs back on Easter evening, 1997, after I did my Sunday radio program, my trucking radio program at the 76 truck stop there in Jackson, Tennessee, on the interstate, in the western side of Tennessee, on Sunday. Then I got back in my truck, and it was before sundown. It was midsummer 1997. Well, no, it was spring, Easter, and but anyway, it's still light out, and I made it into to Memphis, the Beltway. And as I got on the southern loop of the belt in Memphis, I headed south towards Jackson, Mississippi, where I was going to take my load and deliver it. I was now divorced, and I was no longer doing hazardous material. I was doing shaken freight and box big the oversized 52-foot trailers, and taking it down to southern Mississippi there. And so as I got off the southern belt in Memphis, interesting, it's the city of the pyramid. It's going to fit the bill of what I'm saying here. And okay, Ninja. Yeah, okay, gotcha. And so I'm heading south on the interstate now, and all of a sudden it's getting dark. Now the sun is set, and it's what we call twilight. And as I look down in the southwest, I see these flickering lights in the horizon, and they're maybe 30 miles away, maybe more, and they're flickering. And so as I continue to go south on the interstate, they're coming up my way. They're getting closer, and then now it's dark. It's pitch black, and then all of a sudden and by the way, all the Easter evening traffic is coming north. It's like a straight line of traffic coming up to Memphis. And remember, it's Easter, so it's the Eastern Star. It's the their pretend, of the spring equinox, and the midpoint of equal time in the year. I don't know how to say that. The equinox, when it's 12 hours dark, 12 hours daytime. That's called the equinox, and so it's the occultic worship of the sun, I guess you might say. Although sun worship is questionable for anyone who knows the true nature of the sun and about the spirit. But that's a big play on that theme, because they want people to think, anybody who acknowledges the sun for what it really is, as the Elohim, is worshiping the sun, when it's about the spirit behind it. So anyway, I'm headed south, and then all of a sudden I find myself under the squadron of what we call UFOs, and there was a chain link of them every quarter miles on the eastern side of the interstate, the northbound lane, and I'm going south. So on the other side, there's like there's sentries. They're every quarter mile or every half mile, and then at the same time, the mass of the squadron is crossing the interstate, in mass, but spread out. Spread out in a mile, spread out maybe in a mile, direction, and so I see one hovering across the street as one of the sentries, just hovering there, watching while the others cross the interstate. And so I see an entrance ramp, and I say, okay, there's a good place to pull over, and I pull off the interstate over onto the side of the entrance ramp that's entering onto the interstate. So I'm safe from traffic, and I roll down my window right across, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm saying, and I'm trying to see it, because all I can see is the light going through the trees, a white heliarc light. Like, heliarc is a welding. It's a high energy welding tool in scientific equipment, and they weld, and so it's a white light, just like out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And so as I'm trying to look at the craft, I can only see this triangle underneath with a port on each of the three triangles, and then finally I can see a silhouette. The silhouette is as if it's reflecting the darkness of the night, and it's a long tubular shape. It's kind of like a cigar in a way, but it's got the triangular grid underneath. Those ports were just like the kind of ports you would see in front of a movie house. The old movie house would shine the light up into the sky. Everybody around town could see it. And so that's what it was like. It was like those lights. And it was what I concluded was they were sucking in the air, because this is what my intelligence officer said when I told him about this. He said they suck in the air and they take the energy particles from the air, and that's what the exhaust is about. That exhaust. So it's not your typical mercury vortex engine that we find in the Vimanika Shastras, but it's a different type of technology, and so they're sucking the air. There's pure. Don't we live and breathe I mean, if we breathe, we don't breathe, we're dead, right? So if we can live by the oxygen, then there's something going on with the air that they can operate these craft. And so so as I'm staring at it, my windows roll down. Then finally I get it. I say, wait a minute, this thing's not a helicopter, and it's just hovering there, not making any sound. And that's when the light bulb hit me, and it was like, whoa. And so then I look down at the squadron again, and they're all crossing the interstate. One of them is now out of its 45-degree angle, coming at me at a 90-degree angle. And I'm thinking, oh, great. I've heard the stories, that the people, when they end up under a UFO, they get sick, like maybe they dropped some chemicals on them, or they use some kind of energy, source to screw up your body and your mind. And so I said, okay, I'm out here, put it in gear, and I just hook it. Next thing I know, they're all gone. And then 2 weeks later, somebody called Art Bell on his program, remember Ghost to Ghost, and they said, Art, you'll never guess what I saw on Easter evening in Western Tennessee. And then he describes it, and I knew there it was. That was that guy saw what I saw, And so sorry to tell a long story, but it's the only way I can get it out to answer Kip's question here, because I want to qualify my my statement and my view. And so when I headed it south, it's like, man,
stand by.
I hear you.
Okay.
Stand by. Okay, we're going to be able to pick it up. Okay, stand by.
It's connecting.
Buffering again. It's buffering.
It's reconnecting and disconnecting, reconnecting, disconnecting, over and over again.
Okay, so should we drop and then do a part 2 for today? Do another one just back to back? Do you
Sure.
think that would be the way to go?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, let me text them. We're going to drop and then do a second vid. Okay, let me tell them. Wait a minute. No. Lynn says we're back. Are we still okay, Shelley? Yeah, Lynn says we're back. Okay. Give me a number count. Give me a couple backups. Are we good on the audio? Come on. And I don't see the stream on my.
It's saying we're offline. It's saying we're offline.
It says we're offline. Okay, wait a minute. Mine says we're live, but why can't I? Let me hang on. Okay, that's really strange because I don't. It's a 1010. Lynn says it's a 1010.
Wow, but yet it says we're offline.
Yeah, and I'm going to refresh. I'm going to try refresh. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, just refreshed, and no, the chat's still there, but it still says we're offline. So let's disconnect everything. Oh, okay. Ninja says I'm back. Then why doesn't my computer show me any graphics and it says that we're offline?
Yeah, it's saying the same on my side.
Okay,
too.
hang on. We're back on. We're back on now, Shelley.
Oh, we are.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. All right. Phew. Let me breathe deep for a minute here. Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I can't get over it. What a deal that was. Just when I was getting to the discovery. Just when right in the middle of the, everybody's on a cliffhanger here. I can't get over it. I don't tell this story very often, and it's because like when I tried to call a radio program from a parking lot one day in my 18-wheeler, and then after I told them the story, they hung up on me. And the co-host says, why'd you hang up on him? He's telling the story. And then, people are calling in saying, yeah, that driver been sleeping on some parking lot too long and everything else, because you always wonder, what would it be like, to be under a UFO, what we call a UFO, right? And I'm under a squadron of them. You want to know what it feels like to be under a squadron of them? Let me tell you, because where we dropped off was, okay, I said that I was convinced that what I was witnessing had to be happening in every major city of the world, that this was in effect the Orson Welles test pilot program now in full bloom of the world, War of the Worlds, and as Wernher von Braun, who is the head of NASA, former V2 SS Nazi rocket engineer from World War II, he said that in their last card that they're going to play is the alien card and the phony space invasion. So that's what I knew, from my intelligence officer, that this, also that, and then I heard Wernher von Braun eventually, that this was the case, that it's all Aryan. Look at, you change one word from Aryan, one letter, the royal code from R to L, the obelisk, and you get alien, Aryan, alien. Can you not see that? And it's well established and proven out. We've always had these crafts. So when I got through that, my first thought was, when I saw this, was, do I have enough fuel to get back to Texas? because I'm heading back to Texas. I'm in Mississippi, but I know which way is home, and I'm going to try to get back, to my lake house and and watch the world end, but then I'm driving and I'm thinking about what just happened, and boy, they're here, bum, they're gone, and it's like, was this a dream, so anyway, so when I got to Jackson the next day, that's one of the places where they had the original headquarters for NASA was down there in the Jackson, I think it was Jackson, Mississippi, and I remember Kathy O'Brien, who was a sex slave, a presidential sex slave, mind control victim from infancy, and she, told us how she went underground in the NASA base, and they, were doing programming on her and all that, and so she, so I knew that Jackson, had underground bases there, and so when I told Bill, I called him the next day, my retired intelligence officer, and while they're unloading my truck, right, I pulled into the facility there, and they're unloading my truck, and I get in the lunchroom, and I call Bill on the payphone there. I said, Bill, you never guess what I saw last night. He said, what'd you see? And I tell him, and he says, and I said, what do you think? And he says, well, look, if you were going south and they were going north, then it's very possible that they could have been they're from the area where you're at right now. And he says, so why don't you ask a few people and see if they'd seen anything funny going on in the skies? And I said, okay, let me call you back, all right? And let me take a sip. And so there's three guys that are taking a break. They were all African American workers that were there, and I said to all three of these guys sitting down taking a break, hey, and have any of you guys seen anything funny flying around the skies these days? And one of them goes, yeah, I have. And I said, what do you see? And he says, well, they got these things that fly around. They look like UFOs. And I say, really? And he says, yeah. And I say, well, I was going to draw a picture for a radio interview tonight and draw my picture. Could you draw me a picture in the break room and we'll compare? And he says, sure. And he went in and he drew a better picture of than I could. He actually drew a better picture. And I say, so what are these things? Where do they come from? And he says, well, they come out, they're underground over at the airport. The guys that fly them were all black. So he knew all this stuff. And I say, well, how did they get away with it? And he says to me, well, that they claim that this is all part of the Drug Enforcement Agency. It's like, okay, yeah, people are buying that one too, right? Because it's the backwoods of Mississippi, right? Yeah, it's Drug Enforcement, sure. So anyway, they came out in mass. They came out in mass on Easter evening. Easter, when they probably had their underground blood sacrifices for the equinox of the springtime, they're cultists, right? And so that's when they come out Easter evening, going up towards the city of the pyramid, Memphis, Egypt, Memphis, the pyramid, the sports arena they got over there. So it all fits the bill that they would have done it on Easter evening, if they're going to come out, right, and do their little charade, and I was amazed that the whole traffic going north on northbound lane weren't having accidents, and that people weren't pulled over. I'm like the only guy pulled over in an 18-wheeler, and you got all these people going north to Memphis northbound, and nobody pulled over. It's like, what are the people thinking? Am I the only one seeing this? Am I having a hallucination here? That's what it felt like. It was so surreal. And what are people thinking in those automobiles going north? So then. That's basically, what happened, ladies and gentlemen. And then I had another experience. Then there was one more as I was in Kentucky about a couple months later in Kentucky, and I was coming over the hill, cresting as I was going to go down the hill to the Ohio River, and on the other side is Cincinnati. Okay, coming out of Lexington. And then all of a sudden, as I crest the hill, there's this a V-shape craft. And it had lights along the wing that created the symbol of the V. V for victory, V for Eve, Keva, Eve, the V. Remember, we talk about the V here. And they put all the V's on all the soldiers. They put the V on the Bradley tank, right? And so I could see behind the illusion an aircraft, that it was an aircraft actually pretending to be a UFO. I could see, even though it was dark and it was cloudy, I could see the silhouette of the aircraft. So that's my story, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore, the bottom line here is that we've always had what we call UFOs. Columbus wrote about it, that they were following him when he was doing his phony discovery of America. I guess that was Gandhi, Brandi, Hashish, following him, the ancient Aryan Brahmins, making sure he was doing his job. And or it was Alexander the Great has a story how the UFO aircraft blew holes in the walls of the Phoenician enclave so he could cross over and they could take out the rest of the Phoenicians. So these elements are within our history, and we've always had them because this is the technology. This is what we're talking about on this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We just finished the story of the fallen watchers and also of who is Adam, okay, because this is where all of this technology came from the one who was with Yeshua for 4 billion years in the throne of the sun, the first made on earth, before anything else was made. And then after Yeshua made all things, he named all things. Therefore, he knew about everything in our universe. He knew about free energy. He knew about the gene splicing or, crossbreeding, selective breeding, or about metallurgy and mixing of metals to make steel. You name it. He knew it. That's how we were able to get our great civilizations of today. Because prior to the Aryan race, all mankind was primitive. Okay? By all appearances. There can be an exception to that. That will be another great mystery of our ancient past, but we're not privy to that information. But our scriptures plainly declare that the one who had the knowledge, that they had to transfer the story about Adam into a false narrative about Lucifer, about some woman who flies in the night with boobs and a dress, who doesn't exist because the only Lucifer that exists is in the minds of the occultists and those who buy into it, but the only Luciferians that you can ever see are the ones who are wearing dresses in the form of priests and Scottish Rite Freemasons with their kilts, because they're dressed to kill, because they are killers and they are murderers of mankind, murderers of our minds and murderers of our people and of our little ones, working for the Vatican, but all working for the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood. So we can't. Werner von Braun told us that if you had a rocket go to the moon, you would have to have 5 feet of lead to protect you. Okay, and so he said the rocket ship would have to be as big as the Empire State Building. Okay, and therefore it never happened. We're on the 50th anniversary of going to the moon, right? And I saw that BS they were putting up on YouTube. Not one of them was debunking it. It was all propaganda. And yet we never went to the moon because it's impossible to go through the Van Allen radiation belt. It will not only kill people, it will destroy the equipment. Okay? It will destroy the equipment. It's that powerful. It breaks everything down. That's why the Twin Towers fell down in ashes and dust, because the atomic energy that went up through the center core dissolved everything. You see, an underground detonation. And so I hope I answered the question. The only UFOs there are inner space craft. They are inner space, not outer space. And it's all the great show, the grand illusion. And we've talked about it on other broadcasts as well. So just go back and listen to back issues. So, Kip, I have an inside. Okay, you're doing a follow-up here, so let me see now, because I was answering your question. I have an inside. Anti-gravity is in full production. I can never reveal my source. Okay, you have an inside scoop, and that sucks, right? Okay, gotcha, Kip. Okay, and you're saying amazing, and that view of downtown Cincinnati is the greatest ever. Thank you. You're welcome, Kip. I'm glad to answer questions. We don't get enough callers. This is why I'm here, to answer questions and try to help people out, on their journey, because there are answers, and I dedicated my life to this story. And that's what I was saying, that Yeshua put me at the right place at the right time in my entire life. It's been this, I call it, the Adventures of Dezert-Owl or the Trail of Visions, because I have so much experience, and I'm just like a nobody. I wasn't part of any, military force or anything like that. I mean, I was a high school dropout, hitchhiked across America, a young hippie at the end of the hippie age, but I had a vision to walk across America, and the rest is the forbidden history now, ladies and gentlemen, because I left New Jersey, never looked back, because my parents were false parents. My true parent is the great Father of Light, and Yeshua, It's the mother, father. The mother and father are one. It's beyond male, female in the spirit. It's all a great mystery, and we're here to unfold these mysteries, ladies and gentlemen. That all the false narratives are out there. It's so easy to fall into the deception, but how do we fall into the truth? Okay, because the truth is not a part of any lie, and we didn't even do words. So I hope I'm back on track now. Now I feel like I need another break after that. And boy, we almost lost it, didn't we? Right at the crucial point of the story, Bhagwan Gandhi Rashish was trying to pull our plug and shut this broadcast down. And so thank you, Father above, for letting it continue. We already had a disruption yesterday, and anything that can happen in broadcasting will happen. And yet the light is flowing. And thank you, Yogener, for managing this thing so well. Shelley's doing a great job giving us great graphics. So let's do a short break this time. Shelley, I don't need a long one. I just need to break. Then we're going to do the words. Then we're going to do FENTON. And what else we got to do on Sunday when they're trying to destroy our world, right, ladies and gentlemen? And Shannon, good to have you. Welcome to the broadcast. And yeah, and she sees things out there in the District of Criminals in Nova, Virginia. I didn't even know there was a Nova, Virginia. So don't go away. We're going to do a short break so I can rebreathe, and then we'll come back with words, okay? And anybody else with questions, love to hear from you, okay? You did tell your friends? Okay, come on, tell your friends. You wanted to know. I know it.
Close my eyes, only for a moment, and the moment's gone. All my dreams pass before my eyes in curiosity. Dust in the wind, all they are is dust in the wind. Same old song, just a drop of water in the sea. All we do crumbles to the ground, though we refuse to see. Dust in the wind, all we are is dust in the wind.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you on the broadcast today. It's exciting to have 11 listeners. You know, that's like a milestone for us practically. We've had a little more than that, and I'm just always amazed at how you know we got stuff. I mean, I couldn't even get interviews out there in the world. You know, like nobody wanted to talk to this bird brain. You know, this guy with a funny name, and but like I said, I was a high school dropout because I was smart enough to know that they weren't. I wasn't learning anything in school, and thank you, T Love, for inviting some friends. There you go, because you wanted to know, right? I mean, really, you're hearing some things. Um, all I can tell you is that the one who made all things is the one who reveals all things. Okay, so I don't take credit for the knowledge that has been given to me, the enlightenment, the vision that I have, or this experience of being what was that movie called, Elmer Gump or something like that? Remember Forrest Gump? Was it Forrest Gump? Right? He was like wasn't that his story? Right? He was at the right place at the right time. He was like everywhere, been there and done that, and he was goofy at the same time. But it's funny. I only saw that thing once. If I saw all of it, I don't remember. But so the Father has given me a life experience so that I would be able to then see things that, being at the right place at the right time, and then be able to draw the conclusions and to get the picture, like, after I was under that squadron of UFOs, I mean, I was like, I was in a truck stop restaurant one morning, after all this happened, and I'm at the cash register paying for my breakfast, and it's like I'm still. This was right after it happened, and I'm phased, and I'm just like staring at the cash register in a daze, and the lady's waiting for my money, and I say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, how much is it? Okay." And I'm saying, forgive me, okay, but let me ask you something. Have you ever been under a UFO before? And that's how I put it to her, and she goes, "Yeah, I have." I say, "You have?" She goes, "Yeah." And I say, "Well, tell me your story." It's like, so all of a sudden I find out that all these other people, when I start talking to them about it, they had experience. Even this guy in where my trucking base was in Murray, Kentucky, this guy who ran for political office, and he heard my story, and then he says, "But you know what? When I was under him that night, I never told anybody because I was running for office, and I didn't want people to know. They would think I'm crazy. So life is so surreal at times, ladies and gentlemen, and it's so important to realize that if you surrender to the one who made all things, that your life could turn out to be quite an adventure. But if not, you're in the outer darkness, and in the outer darkness is the outer limits. Remember, don't touch that dial. We control the narrative. We control the horizontal. We control the vertical. We control the contrast. We control your thinking. For the next hour, you're our slave, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what they did for your entire life, actually. So they're telling you, but we don't get it. The outer limits. Okay. So Kip, you're saying something here. Sorry if I post a live stream, I will lose access right now. I have a very good, very poor signal. Okay, Kip. Well, great to have you. For the program, as long as you can hang out with us. Oh, there you go. You got another one. I have a strange request. Please elaborate on the word detour. Okay, my spirit has been screaming detour. Yeah. Well, I think we all want a detour out of this world, Kip. No doubt, right? But on the surface, we see the word "d" as in. It implies the word "the." It's a we see it in other cultures. Maybe the French, or the Spanish. I'd have to off the top of my head, I can't remember at the moment. But it literally can be the tour. Okay, so the detour is the tour, meaning the tour going around. The tour, turn. There's the word turn, tour, torque, right? Torque is turning, right? You're torquing, and so yeah. Other than that, I don't see much more in there. But it means also, in a subliminal sense, the power, because the tour is the Torah, the Torbo, the bull, Toro. You see, so but then it also means the attack. So the detour could also mean let's go around and kill them, because it's the attack. So all these possibilities are there. And we've been on a detour. That's right. We got detoured as soon as we came into the world. We were supposed to be enlightened by our families and our older people in our society, and instead they wanted to rape our souls and rape our minds and rape our bodies, and that's what we ended up with. Yeah. So that's a little bit right there. Torah, 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 and attack, attack, attack. Right. That's what that Torah means. So all there in its power. That's correct. So let's do a few. What do I want to do here? I think I better not do the words now. I'm going to save. Well, let me see here. I had a couple. Let me see if I can run through them real quick, okay? Because words are not what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Bottom line, words are not what you think. What you think is a word may mean something else. And if you do not mean what you say when you say what you think, then you do not mean what you say. You think? Maybe so. Okay, so we need to learn more about that, right? So words are not supposed to control you, but because you are supposed to be in control of the words. But what did they do with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? They switched out the word evangelion, which means the star message of enlightenment, and they put up their gospel, which is correctly go spell, and they're saying go spell, fool, if you think you can. Just like the word history is Welsh, and history means silent story, and but more correctly, listen to it. History. There's the word tour again. There's the word tour, and but history means silent story or the serpent story. So our history has been silenced. Whoa! And you bet, Kip. And so let's see here. So let's go on to I did a review before our program today of yesterday's short version of our broadcast, which was cut off, and so garden, the word garden, is genun, Ghay. So here's the correct garden, okay? Because you have to see it, or otherwise you'll forget. Confucius says, "I hear and I forget. I see, that is, I get the picture, and then I remember." So I got to type it in here. So Garden becomes Gay, Ghay, apostrophe Noon. Apostrophes are to help you out, not the apostrophe was in there, okay? So Gainun, and so the gain that's the word for garden. Actually, that's the garden at high noon, okay? So garden, correct? Let me try this again. Garden is Ghayn. There's garden. It's gain. And so what do you get out of a garden? You get gain, right? If you're plowing a field, you're hoping to get a little gain so you can put it on the market. And so the garden brings forth produce for gain, okay? And that's synonymous with the word Cain as well, which Ninja, I noticed in the chat, mentioned it yesterday. Ninja, you helped me to see something at the same time, because when you saw the word coin, you were pointing out that there could have been a G, and therefore, literally, coin. The word coin actually could be the word gain. You see, because these are all root forms, but there is no C, so it has to either be a KH or a G. But so I'm convinced that coin is probably in the original thought gain. So what would you say when you got paid at the end of the day and you got some coin? You could say, "Here is my gain." Right, here's my gain, my increase for the work that I did. So that was a good one, Ninja. You're waking up. Look out, okay? Look out. Never know what you're going to see next. Ninja's making a great contribution to the broadcast, and I wish I could put the check in the mail, Ninja, but you're just going to have to suffer with treasure in heaven. Okay, so live forever. Okay, and so that's garden. So garden then, the Gainun. It means then the garden at high noon, because that is the metaphor, as in, okay, in other words, Canaan's land. See, Canaan's land is actually Gainun's land, Gainun. So it means the garden at high noon, because why? It was a beautiful part of the world. It wasn't like here in America. It was different. It's arid and wet. They had 2 seasons, but it was its own paradise. Okay. And as we know, when we see Israel today, pseudo-Israel, we see all their crops, the olive trees, the orange trees, the palm dates, all the produce they provide. They got perfect weather over there for agriculture, you see? And so it is a garden over there at high noon. But so literally then the GH implies in the word genun for garden, therefore implies. Remember, we talked about GH meant return, and we saw the two middle letters in your keyboard on your computer is a GH. We showed you the Declaration of Independence yesterday, where it said States of America. The original name for America was States of America, and in America, it wasn't even an A; it was a GH, and it's an upside down G built with an H. You see, and their code is right there. What they're saying is return, because this GH in the genun then means a return comes from the garden. So what came out? Equal and opposite reaction, right? Cause and effect. Something goes out, something comes back. Creation came out from the light, from the sun, and some creation. There's going to be a harvest. Remember Yeshua, what did he say? Right at the beginning, he said to his followers, he says, look, the harvest is great. Create light, pray to the owner of the harvest that it will bring us more workers. You see? So the harvest has been ongoing for 2,000 years since the Moeshiach, if not really from the beginning of time, because people have always been transcending. But Yeshua, brought us the truth, the absolute truth, and a simple way of transcendence because of all the priesthoods that were corrupting everybody and everything. And therefore, Yeshua had to come and set the record straight again. So here's a good one for, people are always trying to deal with the use of the word chemtrails, right? And, well, the guard in the garden is Yeshua then, Kip, right? He's the guard. Gar is actually another form of the word war. Yeah, it's just like I said, flower means the flow of war, because garden is not the original word. You see, just like the word flower means the flow of war, so garden means the sound of war in the garden. Boom, 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 right there's, because din is din, and it means sound. And then gar is another form of the word war. Okay, like nom de guerre. It's a Latin form. Nom de guerre means the name of war. That's your name in all capital letters. So there's the sound of war, and flower means the flow of war. They're just so cute, aren't they? And so instead of saying chemtrails, you could say aerosol attack. How about that one? Do you see those aerosol attacks happening up above? Of course, Dane Wigington wants us to say, the geoengineering aerosol spraying. And so we could say the aerosol spraying is indeed an aerosol attack. Is it not an aerosol attack, ladies and gentlemen? Are we not under attack? Are we not being murdered right now by injection, by air? Okay, so yeah, we're in trouble, and on planet Earth, and that's why we need to pull ourselves together in the true nature of things, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we do. We define the nature of things as they really are. It is possible to know that you can know that you can know, and it is meant to be known. Okay, but only for those who care and are willing to put their hands to the plow. Because it's not going to come to you while you're watching a football game. It just ain't going to happen. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Thank you, Kip. You got it. Stratospheric aerosol injection. Okay. I can't write and do the broadcast, so I'll hopefully remember that and write that down. That's that you got it right. Yeah, you've been following. Okay, so we talked about the sun as being in the east, and we talked about the word oriental. And so east is you can see the word breast. Okay, so let me just show how words are all a part of each other. Okay, so east, E-A-S-T, becomes B-R-E-A-S-T, becomes best, B-E-S-T. Okay, so the word east is pointing back to the sun, and remember it said that the Eden was in the east, and I say that the Eden is the east. It is the sun that rises in the east. It's the atom. It's the Garden of Atoms. And therefore, it is the breast, because it is that which we are nursing on, the light, every day, or we die. The planets that's why they go around the sun, because it's the mother's breast, you see. And then, so what is out of the word breast? If you take out the R, you got the word best, okay? Because the best comes out of the light, okay? So they're all relative terms. And so that's another one, okay? That's east. And I got two more here. And then Enoch, he was taken up to the throne of the sun. Okay, Enoch was taken up to the throne of the sun because I'm trying to figure out why I'm putting that there. Because yesterday when I did our read out of the second chapter of Ganesha, misnomered as Genesis, I talked about how the others were taken up to the throne of the Son, and I said even Paul mentioned it. He said he went up to the third heaven. Well, what are we a third away from? We're the third away from the Son. That's the third heaven, because the word heaven is a code and it's a corruption, and it is the third planet from the Sun is what the Earth is. So that would be the third going back. You see what I'm saying? And so Enoch, when Enoch went up to the throne of the Son, Yeshua, when he went back, when he was after he rose from the dead and then he was taken up, he went back to the throne of the Son even before them, through the clouds. Beyond the clouds was the Son, and he's taken up. Okay, so this is part of our reality of the metaphysics of our creation. It's beyond the physical, right? It's beyond. It's supernatural. What we're talking about here. How could 3 guys in Babylon go into a fiery pit and not get burned and come out and not even have the smell of smoke on them or fire? Right? So it's, so we have to see it as our scriptures, our shultres, original word, our shultres, shul for knowledge, the tray for the 3, because the 3 is the tree and the tray, and it means that in the culmination of sun, earth, and moon, the 3 come together to create life. And so the 3 are also elements in the atom, the neutron, nucleus, and the proton. I get lost when I do physics, But anyway, you know what I mean? That it's that on the microcosm is the macrocosm. The macrocosm is just like the microcosm. So Enoch was taken up to the throne of the Son, and I believe it was in 2nd Enoch. I thought about getting it down, but I didn't have enough time before the program. I'll read it one day, but he literally describes what he saw when he's taken up to the throne of the Son. How he saw the stars up there, and how he saw the flames of fire all around him, and there in the middle was the throne. And so we have to realize that in the supernatural aspect of our creation, Yahweh does whatever he wants, and he obviously would, as a spirit, rule from the center of the throne of the Sun. Even the Pharaoh claimed to be sitting on the sun throne, and the cobra on his headdress represented the sun, the Ouroboros eating its tail every day. Cobra meaning my supporting power. Cobra, bra for support, co for co-support, right? And one more word, then we'll take another break, Shelley, and let's do a long break, okay? I'd prefer a long break right now, and then when we come back, we'll do Fenton. But this is, I don't know what got me going on the word pi, but I guess because I wanted you to see the duality in the Fae, because you hear me talking about the Fae all the time, and the Fae. You by the way, you don't get this stuff in the university. You know that, right? That what we're getting here is beyond university level stuff, because what appears what happened to me, what Yeshua did to me in the enlightenment that he brings, has caused me to become what in essence is one of the foremost experts on the Indo-Germanic mother tongue. Okay, and it's based on reading symbol and also knowing apparent root forms, but also knowing the name of the game and the story that has been hidden away from us. Do you see what I'm saying? That this is beyond, the university. What does university mean? Universe, one thought. They get you to think their way, and if you don't like it, then you're out, or you get a failing grade, and you won't get tenured, or you won't get a job. So and it's all under the Vatican, by the way. I proved out that all universities are licensed by degree under the Vatican, which so go put 2 and 2 together, okay? Everything, even Washington D.C. used to be New Rome, New Rome. That was Washington D.C. before they figured out their next deal they were going to play on us, Universal City, yeah, one verse out of Universal City in Los Angeles, right? It's the one verse. It is one verse, but the truth is the verse is about our Redeemer and the one who made all things, Yeshua, who is the first atom, A-T-O-M. So anyway, talking about the Fae, because we see it in the word pi, okay? And we see the pi in the Greek like this, right? P-I, which then becomes, we could see it as P-I-E, as in a pie that we like to eat, like an apple pie. I didn't do the right symbol here. Hang on. Pi, P-I-E, boom. And but it's correctly, as you heard me word use, Phay, which is actually correctly. We could also spell Fay, but really it would be most complete as Phray. So there you go. You see, and so how these forms are all relative. And the Fae, as you hear me talk about the Fae, is the woman, the virgin light, right? But when we see the word pi, as in the Greek, we see that it's a straight line dividing a circle, right? And they call that pi. And see, so there, it's based on the ancient idea. Yeah, pi. Well, pi is, yeah, it's a relative number in the center of a circle. It's always the same number as I remember it, right? And so the pi, therefore, is showing the division of a circle. It's cut in half. And so when we talk about the Fae, remember we talk about the occult, and the occult are embracing the darkness and the moon, when we want to be in the light with the brightness of the sun. And so there's our division. They're serving the woman of darkness. That's the dark side of the moon, you see. All the moon gets light, but the dark side of the moon is the occultic dark side. That it has, even though it's a beautiful orb in the sky, but yet has a dark Luciferian occult that are worshiping it and following it, you see. And so that's their Lucifer, their light of fire. It is not the fire, it is merely reflecting the light of the fire. And so the Fae then has a dual nature, right? Because when she came down in the symbol of the V, well, what do you see? You see a right and a left, right? A right and a left. Let me try that again. A right and a left. And so there's your two columns. Let me try it again. A V. No, that's not it. Let me try that again. Blah, 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 V. Okay. Okay. And boom, boom. How about that? You see? So the V is the two columns. The V is the duality. And so, and it comes down to a point, right? Because it implies the coming together as well as the separation. Man and woman come together. Male and female come together. They're in the division, but they come together to create life. You see, and so you got two sticks, create the V, and the two sticks represent the two columns. Two columns represent the support, and the support represents sun and moon. But then it goes on into all the things of creation. You know, it's just unending, ladies and gentlemen. So in essence, what I'm implying then is when we talk about the Fae and the virgin light that comes down, immediately it comes down into the fall of dense matter. Eve is continually falling. You see, she has never stopped falling out of the light, and therefore it is the division. It creates the division. Pi means the division. So Fae, the woman, is in the division. You see, and that's why the woman throughout history gets the bad rap, because she represents creation, and therefore and because creation is below Yahweh, because you can't make something greater than yourself, only something that is below yourself. The woman, therefore, is smaller than the man, because the man represents the spirit and the female represents the physical creation. Matter is mother. Matrix is mother. Motor is mother. Under the hood is the mother, the motor, you see? And so she's doing a job. And that's why at the end of time, 2,000 years ago, when Yeshua was ready to become the perfect sacrifice, and Mariam, correctly Mariam, not Mary, but Mariam, where they abbreviated her name for some reason. And she's anointing his feet with oil. And then she is begrudged by Judas, because he was an ass, and he represented Judah, the citadel. And therefore they're parallel types again. And he says, why did you do this? You could have sold it for 300 pennies and given it to the poor. Yeshua says, don't begrudge me, this kind act that she's doing to me. You have the poor with you always. But this thing, and the way it should have been written, because it's not the correct translation, he says this thing that she has done has been written about as a memorial for her. But what he should have said was, this thing that the woman hath done, this thing that the woman hath done will be written about as a memorial for her, because the woman, served the purpose to bring forth the baby. You see, the baby. And the baby is life. The baby is everything. All of creation is female and matter, and behind it is the spirit of life that is breathing in an algorithm that is continually flowing, right? The algorithm that continues to flow, right? Like that, okay? It's continually flowing out in sound waves. If the sun were to stop shining, it would all be over. He never sleeps. He never rests. You talk about power. Wow, how'd you like that deal? I have to take a nap every day. I'm sick of it. I want to be 20 again, That's the youth. That's what Judah means, youth. Okay? And so it's all part of the great mystery. And Kip is sending me a text. The documentary you mentioned earlier is Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. Thank you, Kip, for that. Everything is a Rich Man's Trick on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see the true story about how Kennedy was assassinated by Brotherhood of Death, George Bush Sr., and also Vice President Lyndon Johnson, and head of FBI Hoover, and the Hunt family, and even the governor of Texas. What was his name? Can't remember his name at the moment. He was in the front seat. The guy in the front seat, he was also a part of the conspiracy. And that's why when he got shot, he says they're going to kill us all. He made that statement. It was clearly, most people have heard that in one or two documentaries. They're going to kill us all, because he thought now he was going to get killed when he was in on the deal, and he had to ride in the front seat. Thank you, Kip. And, okay, you can't post links in the live stream. Okay, sorry to hear that. I didn't know we couldn't do that. All right, so we got team effort going on here. I sure appreciate everybody helping out. And so those are the Yochelleg, ladies and gentlemen. In the beginning, it said, was the word. Was? Come on, is the word, but it's not the word. Put an S on it, you get sword. In the Greek, it's logo. What is a logo? It's an image. A sword is an image. What kind of sword is it? It's a flaming sword that points in every direction, and it is correctly the Yochelleg. The Yochelleg. In the beginning is the Yochelleg, and that means the royal eye. Aisha is the royal eye. We are royal eyes. The royal eye came down as the Aishan. The Aishan, as we see on the map, is Asian, but it's correctly Aishan. They never tell you what it means. You're hearing it here first. It means the royal eye that came down. Who are the royal eyes that came down? It is the Aryan race that had the knowledge breathed into them through their father Adam. Through the father Adam, and they decided to sell out and all of mankind rather than give them the truth about their true origin and lift them up. Instead, they enslaved them all, and that's the legacy of mankind in short, ladies and gentlemen. So when we come back, we'll be on the Holy Bible in Modern English by FENTON, chapter 2, in the middle. And so get your book if you want to follow. I transliterate it as I go, but we're going to do it with the most important transliteration out of the Greek and Hebrew in modern time until we do the original thought transliteration project, ladies and gentlemen, if we can get some support, because we can't do it by ourselves. I'm telling you, we don't have any money. They get all the money, And so, but we are trying to get it done on a song, a wing, and a prayer, and you are our prayer. So thanks for tuning in for this segment of the broadcast. And still time to call your friends, and when we come back, we'll be in it, okay? Shelley, we need a long break. The long break, please. Long row. Rowing a long way down the river. Don't go away. The River of Light. We'll be right back. broadcast. Ninja, go ahead and call in now. You're right, Kip. We've actually got 2 6-packs going for us now. Man, I like this kind of drinking, because it brings life. I get more motivated the more friends we have on here. And when I get down to 3, then it's just like, okay, that means my engineer, my other engineer, and then okay, so we lose our enthusiasm, but it takes a lot for people to wrap their mind around it. I'm just gonna roll here, Shelly, while you bring on Ninja, okay? And hold on, she's calling.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay,
G'day.
let's get them. Good day.
Okay. Sorry.
For 15 minutes, I think. And Ninja, are you there? Ninja?
I'm here.
Y'all having fun on the side? What's going on? Let us in on this.
I'm sorry. I've had too much coffee. I'm sorry. G'day. How's it going?
Okay, very good. Coffee's doing that to you these days, huh? Okay.
It's 4:20 a.m. Desert. I'm a bit loopy.
Yeah. You're going to have to get on the other side of the planet, I think, if
I know, right?
keep this up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any size donation would be great.
Right, and she'll be moving in Pennsylvania, Transylvania. Transylvania? You sure you want to go to Transylvania? Oh,
Not really.
it's not nice.
No.
Yeah.
No, not.
Pretty trees, but some pretty bad uniforms over there. Go ahead.
How are you?
You always ask that question. You haven't figured it out yet? I'm beside myself, Ninja. You know that. Come on.
Okay.
Me, myself, and the other guy.
Yeah. Okay. I have some Aisha from last night. I'm just trying to remember how the stream went. Yeah, because I can no longer access it here anyway. Okay. Right. You were reading from Fenton.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get straight into it so that I don't get the giggles again anytime soon.
All right.
And hi, everyone in the chat. It's amazing tonight. Thank you all for joining. Love you all. Anyway. Okay, you were reading verse 4 in chapter 2 in Fenton.
Okay.
And I should have it up on the screen, but I don't. And I don't want to lose Skype.
Do I need to open my book to help you, or?
Yeah, can you?
All right.
I don't want to lose Skype. That's all.
Okay.
I don't want to risk it.
All right, hang on.
It's like the first couple of words, in verse 4 in chapter 2.
Okay, chapter 2, got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you want me to read it?
Just the first few words. Yeah.
Okay. These, well, you see, Fenton, has an interesting expression here. He says, these were the productions for the...
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Good.
Sorry.
4 words.
Were.
Oh, yeah, no, you see, you're right. These are.
Yes.
These are the productions. There you go. You see, she caught it again.
Yes.
Right.
And that got me thinking. Thank you. I was trying to remember exactly why I wrote down were and are. You got me thinking of you know how I'm always been thinking of the little words lately, how they have to be important. And here's an example with were is supposed to be are. I was thinking, I wrote down are, and then I wrote down air, A-I-R, and then A-Y-R. And that kind of went on to Aryan in my head. And I don't know what the connections are there, or if that's correct or anything, but that's what I was thinking.
Well, okay. Well, the visual I got on the word are, meaning A-R-E, like there are more than one, or there are others, that type of use of the R, A-R-E. You see, R is means to plow. I now found that in the Indo-Germanic. So one of the aspects, I just knew R meant power. But now when you dive into the ancient researched by all these other wonderful researchers who have been buried under the rug, then you find out R means also to plow. It makes sense because it's pretty. You got to have a couple bulls on front of you, or the ox, and then you're plowing, and that's pretty powerful to cut up the earth and to plow. And so R means like you're pointing forward. So there are more, right? Where are you? You see, so R is like a power. And I don't get into the. I hated English because it was so boring. We never really got into literature, which I would have loved. But I never cared to memorize adjectives, adverbs.
I hated school.
Nouns and pronouns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I never wanted to memorize all that stuff. Like I really want to learn how to memorize every part in an automobile just so I can get on and turn the key, and drive.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't. So we're talking about words in the element that they're in. And it doesn't matter what you call them. The bottom line is that it's a word that has bearing. The E is a corruption, but the E is the first letter of the word earth, so it implies the lower creation from that standpoint. Okay, and I got to do one thing to block the light out here, Ninja. Why don't you tell people about your channel real quick, and let me block my window, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up right here when we get back. Just give me 2 minutes, okay?
Okay. Now you're putting me on the spot. Okay. All right. I have 2 channels now. Altogether, we have 4 channels going, sharing the forbidden history, what they didn't want us to know, that we're telling on 4 channels. We have the Forbidden History Chronicles on Ninja Cat 111, which is me, on Mondays and Fridays. At 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US every Monday and Friday. So please join, please subscribe. My notifications are not going out. I know this because I have a second channel called The Cosmic Essence. If you see a channel called The Cosmic Essence in these chats with a picture of the sun as the thumbnail, that is me, Ninja. So I'm beside myself most of the time these days too. Yeah, and the Cosmic Essence has been created as a reference channel. We've just started uploading. There's only a couple of videos there, but there's some playlists from Desert's other channel, the Forbidden History series.
Yeah. We can call it an audio dictionary in a way, right? It's sort of like that.
If you're looking for something in particular, you don't have to go through all the live streams.
Yeah, we're going to save everybody the legwork.
Just go find it.
Yeah. We're going to capture everything and put it in a you go into the YouTube search bar for the channel, and you say what you're looking for, the story of Adam or whatever, and it'll pop up that way. That's how we're doing it. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so where are we going?
Have you finished with air?
Yeah, that was enough.
You finished with.
That's why I switched gears for a moment. Okay.
Okay. Another little word. Yes. I have a lisp. Sorry. That's probably a good thing. YES. Yes. You know how in your dictionary, it says in there that I can't remember the wording, but talking about the S and the serpent and putting the H with the S. So I did that and wrote YESH, and that made me think of Yeshua, like the incorrect spelling. Yeshua, YESHUAH, and then of course I wrote Yahshua, the proper spelling underneath that. So do you see the connections there? Like I can see it. I don't know how to explain it.
Yes, I do. And now I'm speaking with the lips. Okay. Well, no, I've seen that. I've seen that for years, and it's one of those enigmas because the problem is the letter E, because the E is of the lower form, and an affirmative would start with the A, and therefore that's why we see it in the Germanic as Ja. Ja is the affirmative. So yes is a corruption, and that's why they put the serpent sound on there. Since they told us we're serpents by putting on our shirt and pants, they want us to sound like the serpent and got us saying yes.
Yeah, and they're using it
instead
in
of Ya.
Yeshua, the false way of saying Yeshua. They're using it there. I never saw that before, Desert.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to speak more? Okay.
You're giving me a break, I thought, right? So I'm letting you talk.
I'm just trying to think. I'm just
You
trying to
wear
think.
out, we'll get back to the broadcast. So go on.
Okay. I had some other things to say.
Yeah, wait a minute. Isn't it
Oh,
other things to Shay? Other
yeah,
things
that'll
to
do.
Shay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Other things to spark. Desert.
There you go. Spock. Oh, that's what
Yes.
Spock was, right? Spock. Yeah, he was the thought. He was the idea guy. Spock, what are you spocking with today? Oh, Captain, what do you want to know?
Also, sorry, getting back on yes, I say yeah. When I'm sparking, I say yeah. I don't say yes. I say yeah.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
hang
so
on. Now,
you do too.
Lynn, hey, hold on. I just want Lynn to should clarify that it comes out of the Babylonian Talmud. So Yeshua comes out of the Babylonian Talmud, and that's the authority for its improper use in modern time. But George Howard, who gave us the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew, is the one who discovered that. Okay, I don't take credit for it. It was this absolute genius. Okay, who knew the meaning of it, not from a conspiratorial aspect. He was just pointing out the fact. Okay, that's all. Okay, Shelley or Ninja,
Who
back
am
to
I?
you. Who are you? Where are you? Why are you here?
Apparently to give you a voice break. Does it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And to
But
fill
yeah.
your brain with more Eshavors, right?
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you. I love that. Okay. Thinking. Okay. For I want to think about the new listeners, because there's a lot of people just joining, and there's going to be it's taking off now, Desert. I think there's going to be hopefully quite a few new listeners. So I want you to help me clarify that we were talking about energy in the chat, and how energy is consciousness, and it's all vibrations and frequencies, and here in this reality we're stuck in the low frequency, and that's where they want us, stuck in the low frequency. The control is all about low frequencies. Every aspect of the control is all about low frequencies. Even the word switch is the low frequency. Yeah, and I'm veering off, but the duality of that is that the original thought, the true Eshavors are the higher frequency, and they're beautiful, and they speak and they have power. But I just want everyone to remember that we don't have the control. It's Yeshua that has the control. We need to connect with him through that frequency, through the right frequency. So, which is the light. Which is the
way
light
I put
and
it
the
is,
Eshavors.
yeah. Way I put it, those who think they're in control, obviously we didn't create ourselves. So that's evidence that we're not in control, because somebody put us here, and I don't remember anybody asking me if I wanted to be here. And so therefore this control is a con, because we don't have control, because if you are in control, then you shouldn't be suffering death. But you're going to be suffering death. You're suffering death right now, and you're going to suffer the second death, which is when you go to the grave. The first death is spiritual death. And so what we have to do is, since we don't have control, is to soul render. Soul render means to surrender. Soul render means render to the soul rather than render to the light. And when we render to the light and surrender, soul render, then we can find life, because it's in serving the one who made us. Serving the one who made us, because that's all it comes down to. We did not make ourselves. Therefore, we are subject of a higher order, of the greatest royalty, if ever there was royalty. This is the only royalty, because all the others are phonies, liars, and psychopaths. So there's only one royalty, and that's in the throne of the Son, in the light of Yeshua, who is spirit, represented as Elohim, but he is spirit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and also, thank you. I've lost my thought. Oh, I was wowing. Consciousness starts with con. So should we be saying shusness?
Consciousness? Well, it'd probably be Asianness. You see, Asianness.
Oh, wow.
Remember, they abbreviated the words, and they took all the A's off the words, just like Shalom is a Shalom. Just like Sabbath is a Shabbat, you see, and so shishness would be Aishaness. Aishaness is nature. So consciousness then would be the Aisha nature, right? The royal I that came down in nature is the consciousness that we're referring to. So there's a parallel. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Never looked at that word before, but it's right in the word. You see, that's the beauty of the Indo-Germanic. That's what Waddell was saying, that we're speaking 70% Sumerian, which is Aramaic, and has nothing to do with Anunnaki or Nibiru. You know, that's the cover, because they don't want you to know that it's an Aryan culture and that it came from before the flood, and that it is our legacy and our tradition. They want you to think you're made in a test tube, and that Anunnaki are running the world, and they're coming back to pick everybody up on the next flight around. You know, give me a break. Yeah, Confucius is not the name of the guy either. He's not Confucius. He has another name. I got it written down on a 3x5 card. I'll have to go look it up one day. You know, yeah.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Have fun finding it. Desert, I know how many cards you have.
and Crystal, I hope you, I don't know if you heard the program from the beginning, but I thank you for your wonderful comment, and I read it on the program just at the beginning. So listen back if you didn't hear us from the beginning. I'm very grateful for your fine comments, and I hope you got the PDF files okay, all right? And so thank you for that. Ninja, back to you.
Okay. Also, I was veering off before, but I'm glad I did, because that was amazing, Desert. Thank you. Also, I've been catching some weird stuff in my sky lately. I stopped filming, but I look at it every day, and these days I look at it with disgust, because I know what's up there. But I still get I can't think of the word. When there's something weird up there, I have to look at it. And so yeah, I've been catching some weird stuff. I haven't been putting it on my channel, but I've been seeing it, and I've got a backlog of footage and pictures, and I don't know what to do with them. But yeah, it's getting very weird, and I just want people to know that it's all part of the control. Nothing up there is natural. Nothing up there can be trusted. We can't trust what we see up there. It's all deception. It's all frequencies, fake clouds, pretty lights, and holograms. It's complete. It's done. I did put something up on my channel, and my notifications aren't working. So it's on Ninja Cat 111. Please go and watch the last two videos. They're important. One of them is something I filmed a couple of days ago. in my sky. It's what the chemtrails look like, and it's an obvious in-your-face video. It's not meant to be all wows and giggles. It's meant to show the truth, and my notifications stopped and I got messed with a lot after I put that video up, so please go and watch it. I've already taken it down once and put it back up. And the video after that, which is the last one I put up, is a mirrored one explaining what I filmed in my sky, a mirrored one from Never Lose Truth. So yeah, so please check them out. I'm not after views. I'm after I want people to see the truth, what's really there, and stop being deceived. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And love
Wonderful.
you guys.
Okay, well, I have a theory, because that's all it is. I can't prove it, but I was curious what others might think. I know we have some sky watchers here, Kip, and I think maybe Crystal, and even Just Love, T-Love is a sky watcher, and so I, you know how we see in the sky every now and then we'll see a shadow from a aerosol spray trail, right above the trail.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the shadow, and it follows the perfectly straight line, so there's no question it's a shadow. So I think I stumbled on the only logical explanation, Ninja. I think I may have stumbled on it.
Really, because it's a mind bender, because the shadow is in the wrong spot all the time. I've seen it in my sky. Sorry, please continue.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry,
I want to get out my theory here. Wait a minute. All right.
Go. Does it go? Does it go?
She's taking over the program. I can't even.
I'm sorry.
All right. I'm just kidding. That's all right. I just I'm on a roll here. It's
I know,
an egg,
right?
because I love egg rolls. Just give me some sweet and sour to go along with it, because that's what we got. A lot of sweet and a lot of sour at the same time, making lemonade out of lemons. Okay. So here's my theory, Ninja. And everybody out there, let me know what you think. I'm not saying meditate on this, because I don't know if I'm right, but I'm thinking that what's going on. Why do you see the shadow above the trail? Well, the only way you can see the shadow above the trail in the clouds above is if it's a reflection of light coming off the earth. So I think that the earth somehow is reflecting the light back up, and therefore it's creating the shadow in the clouds above. Does that make sense to you, Ninja, or what? You got another idea?
I'm picturing it as you're explaining it, and you just confirmed something and explained what I was seeing over summer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Desert. I filmed a lot of reflections coming off the pavers and the big rocks in my backyard over summer, and I put them up on my channel, and it was like the reflections coming off wet and dry surfaces, and too bright, and off the plants, like off the leaves, and all that sort of thing. Like, the light is reflecting.
Yeah.
It's abnormal, and so what you're saying makes perfect sense.
And not only that, but we're dealing with a stronger form of light now, right? Isn't the sun brighter? And therefore it would be more potential for a reflection with a brighter sun. Not to mention the nature of the light is different, because now we get UVB and UVC, which enhances the ultraviolet light as well. So I think that, to me, is the answer, until somebody can give me a better idea, on that.
I agree with you. Yeah. In summer, the sun is higher in the sky, therefore the light would be reflecting up into the sky from our perspective. At the moment, it's winter here, and so the sun is going along the side, like from northeast to northwest. It's very low, and I'm not getting those. I'm not getting those kinds of reflections that I was getting over summer, like off everything. Instead, I can't look in any part of that sky. I can't look in that direction because it's too bright and glary to look anywhere in that part of the sky. So, yeah, it's painful. It's painful to look in that direction.
Yeah, it is.
So I agree with you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe then we have a mystery solved. That would be.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, another breakthrough. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Thank you, Desert. You're since I met you, you've been confirming sky stuff or suggesting things, and then I've been seeing it's wow, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, are we good? Did we cover all the ground and the sky that we needed to, or what? And the word Ashavors?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
That's everything covered.
All right. And yeah. Crystal said her comment or question was somehow not taken or bumped or something. So Crystal just asked the question again, and no bad words used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was happening for the last one.
Yeah. Bhagwan Gandhi Rashish on Hashish is playing games with us. That's all it comes down to. The ancient Aryan Brahmins, they know we've got the game figured out, and it's game over for them. And so we're making lemonade out of lemons, and they wanted us to suck on sour lemons, and we're drinking the sweet lemonade, and so what can I say? And by the way, here, one more for symbols, Ninja, we got, my tape ran out this morning. Oh, I said a bad word. We don't want a mourning. We don't want to mourn anybody have death in their family. We want the early dawn.
Sorry, okay,
early dawn.
You disappeared. Yeah.
I disappeared?
Yeah, but you're back now.
All right. Okay. So I ran out of tape today, and it's on my, I used the transparent tape, which is called Scotch tape, right? And so Scotch tape is famous for transparency. So you know what the Scotch is abbreviated for, right? The Scottish Rite, because they are transparent. They are everywhere, and you can't see them because they are unannounced military without a uniform, but they got a secret handshake and signals, right?
Wow.
The transparency of the Scottish Rite, the kilts, the picture of the kilt, red kilts right on the side, right? There's your Scott. That's the power that they have when they remember I talked at the beginning of the program, they engineer. You don't, you want to market products, you want to be in on the club, make the big money, then you've got to be with their Scottish Rite, wrongs, Freemasonry. And they're transparent, they're everywhere. Might be the postmaster, might be the UPS driver, might be the lady at the checkout aisle, and they're all in on the game, and they're having their sex parties afterwards in the evening and taking their drugs, getting away with arresting people. They arrest people with drugs, but they can all do all the drugs they want. It's just an amazing racket that they've arranged, while they talk about fraternity and brotherhood and all these wonderful things, and they're just mother sons of darkness, which is what Masonic means. So may they rest in their dirt that they have created, and so I get on a rant now and then.
Ditto. I agree. Ditto. I love your rants. Desert, rant away.
Yeah. Well, that's why those are the people that are stalking you. It's the Freemasons.
Yes.
Because they're organized. They are organized. Most people haven't figured that out. And that's one of the things. Like Dane Wigington, really on his national broadcast, he can't say. He says everything, but what he doesn't say is what we need to know, and that the reason it is so well orchestrated is because it is orchestrated by the secret societies and the Freemasons and the Shriners and the Knights of Malta and the Knights of Columbus, and that was one of the last speeches of John Kennedy, was the organized conspiracy of secret societies. So
and they have access. Sorry, I was just thinking as you were speaking, they also have access to way more advanced technology to be able to coordinate their efforts, and that's how they can also complete their task with the targeting a lot easier than we can comprehend, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we done enough damage, I think. Then Ninja. Okay.
I think so. Your voice was starting to go funny, so I'm guessing we've done enough damage.
All right. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll see you back on the chat. All right. And thank you so much for all your efforts and for staying up with us. Okay, I won't fault you if you
Yeah.
fall asleep. You really are a trooper. So
I'm going to lay down after this phone call and listen. So if you don't see me a lot in the chat, yeah,
All right.
yeah, but I'm wide awake at the moment because I've had too much coffee. So I'll probably listen to the end. Yeah.
Okay, well, way to go.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right.
No worries.
Not worried. Are you worried? I'm not worried. Anybody out there worried? No way. We're just waiting for the end. That's all. We know it's going to be pretty exciting when all things start falling apart. That's when the real game is going to be played. So be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. You got to have your fire starter kit. You got to have your bear mace, to take out the grizzly bear. That's the kind of mace you need, not the little thing of mace. You need a shotgun. Shotgun is best for home defense, and everybody should have a gun. And, and just make your list and work down, okay? Because we don't know how every different pocket in our world is going to have a different scenario, and the people out in the wilderness may be like Kip or probably in the best position to tough it out for the longest. But we're going to, people in the cities and in suburbia are going to be in the worst situation. So just know, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared. But the most important thing is your spiritual connection, okay? Because Yeshua is the one who opens the doors and he makes all things happen for those who love him, okay? So get with him. The one who made all things knows all things, and he is there to direct your path, okay? So Ninja, thank you for your time and calling in, your dedication, and being our call lady, okay?
Always, Desert. Thank you. Peace and light to you.
We're full service here. We do it all, and we just hope that others will call in one day real soon too, right?
Yes.
That's right.
I'm trying to lead by example. Please call in. It's fun, guys. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and we have many wows. We discover many things when we communicate.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, I'll let you get on with the program.
All right, and Joan, we're going to get into our vent now. So thank you, and I guess we got to look for the switch out on the switch. So let me keep an eye out.
Do I hang up?
You can hang up. You can hang up. And
okay. All right. Love you guys. Love you, Desert. See ya.
And bye. Thank you, Ninja. And we're going to resume call here. You've got to hang up, Ninja. I'm resuming the call. I'm not on hold now. Okay, right? I'm back at it. Engineer. Yo.
All good.
Good. Okay, thank you, Shelley. Okay, so we're back at it. And we're making lemonade out of lemons, ladies and gentlemen, because somebody's got to do it. And I'm just the bird brain that thought he could. I didn't think I could. I just love knowledge. I just love studying. I love the truth. And the truth, is stranger than fiction. But the truth can set you free. But the truth can ultimately and will make you a fugitive within your own land. Then all of a sudden you'll find out that there's nobody to talk to because they all think you're crazy and they're going to want to write you off and put you in a little white coat. Or get the guys with the white coats coming taking you away. They're coming to take you away. Hee ho ho hey ha. That's right. Because they're stupid and they're they'll die. They'll die for the cause of a lie. They will die for their beast. Love my beast. Don't you mess with my beast. My Washington, Washington, D.C., the biggest shell game, the biggest grand illusion that ever existed. And then people, hey, go to another country then. You don't like America? Go to another country. Get out of here. This red, white, and blue is my red, white, and blue. And we're all black and blue at the same time, It's just amazing what they do, isn't it? So, okay, we've waited long enough. We're way into the program. That's why we're going to clip all these different segments and put them on the Cosmic Essence, ladies and gentlemen, because we're using the big program to get out a lot of content. There's a lot of ground to cover, and we want you to know how diversified we really are here with having unraveled the great mystery. But at the same time, then we're getting down to the specific topic of the day, which is the book of Ganesha, which is falsely called Genesis. And why do they change our words anyway? Don't ask any questions. Okay, no, that's right. Slap me in the head. Okay, yeah, don't ask questions. All right, I forgot. And so now we're in chapter 2 of Ganesha for our FENTON scriptures, and we are looking at chapter verse 15 in chapter 2. Okay, and Shelley, if we could, after you post this for a couple more seconds or a minute, then put on that beautiful volcano you found. I think it's appropriate because we just had the great explosion actually of the volcano, and Adam was formed. Okay, I think that's where we're at now. Let me see. Maybe I should back up one verse. Let me see here. Okay, no, okay, we're right there. We're right on 15. So want to welcome any new listeners on the broadcast. You got a lot of catching up to do. You got to listen to a little bit of this program because we're talking Indo-Germanic, and nobody talks Indo-Germanic other than we do. We get past the illusion of the Greek and the Hebrew, which is controlled by priesthood, and we get to what was first, what was breathed into Adam, the gnosis. Okay, and this is where the term Nazare came from, the nasal, the Nazare. What was breathed in is what is supposed to come out, the true knowledge, the pure knowledge. Okay, and so it's all great mystery, but you got to put your thinking cap on. Okay, this is not for the lightweights. This is for deep thinkers, people who really care and want to transcend this world. It's not instant salvation or Jesus loves you. Yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so. Freemasonic, Jesuit controlled bullpits full of bull, telling you, that perfection doesn't belong to Yeshua, or that you're always going to be a worthless, no good, sinner. When sin is the original word is to have your eyes closed. That's what sin means, to have the eyes closed. You see? I'll prove it to you. Here, hang on. You got to take my tonic from my voice, otherwise I won't be able to talk here. Okay, so let me prove out that the word sin means to have your eyes closed. S-U-N is S-O-N, and then we get S-I-N, okay? And the prime root is S-N, okay? So S-N is the prime root for sun, and the word sun, S-U-N, and S-O-N is the same word. That's just another trick, you see? It's one word. Because when you have a boy, you say, I had a star. I had a son, because he's the one who's going to inherit the inheritance, you see? And that's why we say we have a son. But notice the word sin. It's the same prime root. Now, as the SN, you see SN the prime root. So if the sun is the all-seeing eye, meaning the sun is the royal eye, right? That's what we said. Ashan means the royal eye that came down. So sin, as you can see, means to have your eyes closed. And that's why Yeshua healed more blind people than anything else. It was to show us that our eyes are closed. That's why we're dead. We're walking around with our eyes closed, having an experience that's in a lower realm that has no connection with the reality of the truth, okay? And so the I is the blind. The letter I comes out of the words, comes out because it is the covert symbol. And notice how of all the letters in the small, the I has two pieces. All the others are all connected, but the I has a dot, and the dot is the symbol of the moon. Okay, it's the symbol of the moon, and it's on a pedestal. It's on a column. Okay, there it is. That's your Jachin and Boaz. That's your blindness. Okay, so sin is blindness. Okay, so that's what's going on in the original thought, ladies and gentlemen. If sin is abstract, can't quite put your finger on it. It's ambiguous, but blindness, we know what it means. We get the picture. Your eyes are closed. Okay, so there you go. And so now we're in the verse 15, chapter 2, on for our FENTON and Ganesha, falsely called Genesis. And I'm going to turn on a little more light here. Hang on. Okay. Oh, very good. Okay. So Yahweh, who is the great Dol of fame, that would be Lord God in the King James, then took the Ashan man and placed him in the Genun, the garden of the Atom. That's the sun, the throne of the sun. Okay. Because what we find out is when he came out, and I'm moving ahead, but I got to qualify this if you're hearing this for the first time, because it says that he took him. Ultimately, he's going to take him out of Eden, the Atom, and remember, he was the first made. There was nothing else made here. He can't stay on Earth. So he has to go somewhere, and he went up to the throne of the sun in the atom, the Garden of Atoms, Garden of Light, falsely called Eden. And ed means to remove, by the way, as we talked on the other program. Ed, there's your editor, there's your removal. You see, they removed the original word, atom, the atom, and that it's going to say that they took him. Ultimately, he's going to come out of the atom, Eden, and he's going to be placed in the garden. Oh, and that's when I saw it for the first time. It was like, wait a minute, I've been reading this all my life, and I missed this. There are two gardens. There's the Garden of Eden, and then there's the lower garden. Whoa. And once I saw that, it all opened up, ladies and gentlemen. You got to see it. And Kip, you're saying, I've seen these same objects in historic volcano pictures from as early as the early 1900s. Okay. You were saying that you're connecting it with the unidentified craft, Kip. Okay. Objects in history. Okay, well, anyway, you can elaborate on that. And all right, so here we are. So he's let me try it again. So the Yochelleg, who is the great Elohim, then took the Eshan man, and then placed him in the Genun of the atom, the garden of at high noon, the bright light, and for the purpose of cultivating and taking care of it. And see, so it is an abstract again, and what it means for the purpose of cultivating the earth, because he was the first made on earth after the water and land appeared, and so he's going to name all things, and that's what we find out. And the healer, and here it says Lord God. I'm surprised that he even used Lord, but in FENTON, but he says, which is correctly then Yochelleg, who is the great Elohim, instructed the Eshan. That's Yeshua. Okay, he's known as the great Elohim. He's also known as the Logo, but the Logo is the Son. So he's not the Logo in the literal sense, you see, although he is the Spirit that is maintaining it. And he is the atom, so, in the other sense, he is the Son, because that's why we are all a product of him. We are him by physical nature, but the thing that is lacking in us is the Spirit. And that's the thing that we need, ladies and gentlemen. That's the clothing that we need to put on. And so he instructed the Eshan, breathing, for food you may eat the entire of the trees of the Genun, but from the tree of the knowledge of sun and moon, that's the original, for light and darkness, for good and evil, you shall not eat, because on the day you eat from it, dying, you shall die. And the Yochelleg, who is the great Elohim, also breathed, it is not good for Eshan to be in solitude, or the other it says to be alone. And I will make a comforter for him to live with him. And so comforter, is one word, but the other one was helpmate. Actually, I like helpmate better, because that the woman was here to be the inspiration, you see. But now when we're talking woman, we're talking metaphor, because the woman that is the inspiration is the Elohim herself, all of creation, the woman, the mother. She's nursing us, like the volcano is the symbol of her breast, and all of nature is here speaking. It's in a hieratic form if we can interpret the symbolism. Like the lion, the African lion is male, female, right? It's got the hair. Usually it's the woman that has the long hair. Here we see the African male lion with the long hair, representing male, female of the sun. Represents the sun, the most powerful in the jungle, right? Next to an elephant, the elephant also represents the sun. And so continuing here, and it's not good for him to be alone, and I will make for him a comforter to live with him. So the woman is the inspiration, and therefore is to compel man and to get him, because she, there's more to it. I won't elaborate on that yet. Therefore, the Yochelleg, who is the great Elohim, who had formed out of the ground every animal of the field, as well as every bird of the skies, took them to the Eshan to see what he would call them, presented them before him. So Adam, the Eshan, gets to name everything while Yeshua is making them. And he's doing it from the throne of the sun, because all of nature is evolving over a long process of time. You see, this is part of the great mystery, because Adam's first aspect of being is is mental. That's the true image. We are made in the image of the Father, but it wasn't referring to our physical nature as much as it meant our etheric character, our quality, our sense of ability to reason and to know. What is breathed into him was the what was breathed into him is the essence of Yahweh. Okay, and so he wanted to see what he would call them, and whatever Adam, the Ashan, with the who is the living Shul, called them, that was their name. So Ashan gave names to all the quadrupeds, to all the birds of the sky, and to all the wild animals. Therefore, we should include the fish of the sea. But it was no comfort for the Ashan to be with them. Okay? And so the Yahweh, who is the great Dolohim, threw the Ashan into, now Fenton says stupor, and I like the word sleep, because he fell asleep, and falling asleep is the essence of coming out of the throne of the sun. Now, after all of creation has evolved on earth, other men, other male, what we call human creation is already here. The African, the Asian, they all had a primitive mother father, just like the Aryan race had Adam and Eve, but they did not have the gnosis breathed into him. That's the difference. We got a Neanderthal, we got Paracus, we got Dravidic, we've got Cro-Magnon, we've got African, we got who are called Asian, but that's not the real name, because the Ashan or the Aryan. And so we have all these different races, and I always bought into the priesthood propaganda for decades that we all came out of Noah after the flood. And then after I got to see how old the earth really was, looked at a lot of the evidence, and then learned about all these other, giant-headed, creations, and all the evidence of giants even prior to this episode, before the flood. That man has probably been here at least 1 million years. We don't know how many processions. And so, but it's about the Aryan race, who were called the sky gods, the sun gods, the seed of the sun, and that was what was corrupted into aliens. You see, that's what was corrupted into aliens, because the Aryan race, the blonde hair, blue-eyed, white skin, clearly represented the sun. You see, and they were the ones that were given the great knowledge. They were the ones who decided they wanted to enslave mankind. Didn't the Aryan enslave the African? Didn't the Aryan actually enslave all of us here in America through the 14th Amendment and the birth certificate, a slave document out of Roman civil law? Yeah, no, nobody came out of monkeys, right? No monkeys. Monkeys are just another facet of nature, of this world. In other words, all of nature belongs to this planet. All the animals evolved here, but we did not evolve. We were spontaneously generated from the fiery magma, the blood of the earth. There's no missing link, because there's no link between us and any creation on earth. We were spontaneously made by the Elohim on behalf of the Great Spirit and the Great Elohim, Yeshua, who was then going to create a race of Aryans, so that when he came to earth through Jerusalem, Yaru Shalom, through Jerusalem, he was coming through the Nazarei. The Nazarei were the pure Aryan line that maintained the pure tradition through Avraham, through Abraham, and through all the lineage before the flood, through Adam. Okay, this is part of the great mystery. This is what the great lie is all about. The great lie is, because they never tell us where the Aryan race comes from. The one academia says, oh, they came from the west. The other one says they came from the east. Actually, they were founded in the middle, right there in the Levant, in what is called, Israel today, or Jerusalem, Yerushalayim Shalom, all along the Jordan River, all the way up to the Sea of Galilee, which originally was called Genazareh, the Genazareh. Okay, the Genazareh. Okay, that's where they were founded. And then they moved into Mesopotamia, in between the two rivers, originally called Padamaram, and and Seir. I believe it was Seir. And so all of these things have been glossed over, and they gave us another version with new words, and they changed the old narrative, ladies and gentlemen. So we can never go back home if they change your roadmap, right? So continuing on, let's go back to verse 21. So the Yahweh, who is the great Dolovhaim, threw the Ashan into a sleep. It says stupor, and he slept. That's what he says here in FENTON. And taking one of his ribs, so when he came out of the sun and he comes to the lower garden, now he's falling asleep. Why? Because his nature is being changed and he's being split apart. He's being split apart into male, female. You see, so when he was taken up there, he was androgynous. Well, because he was able to live while all creation is coming on earth. He's able to live up there in the throne of the sun, in the garden of the atoms. Okay, where all of life came from, where all creation came from the light, from the source. The source, ladies and gentlemen, is the light. And so what happens when he comes to the lower garden? He wakes up. The first thing he sees is his counterpart, and she's smaller than him because she came out of the side of the star ram. Came out of the side, and therefore what's the first thing he says? Whoa, you're the Eshaphe. You are the mother of all living. The mother of all living. Wait a minute, she came last, and she represents all of creation. You got to see how this is a deep story, ladies and gentlemen, and you've got to see it on a deep level, and you got to read it over and over until finally you realize that the priesthood had corrupted our scriptures. But if you have the open mind and the connection with Yeshua, he will help you to see it clearly. And so Kip is saying, desert are the sun and moon on an actual line. Psalms 19:4 says that they follow a chord. Well, okay, I'd have to go back to read the scripture. I'd be glad to do that for the follow-up. Let me write it down. Well, let me go just pull it out. I'll do it on the King James because that's probably easier right here. It's right at my roach, and I got FENTON leveled up. So let me go to Psalm 19:4. Psalm 19 is the one that they put their code in, right? That was Psalm 119, and that's where they put the Hebrew alphabet, which is really Yiddish, and it's really the sign of their manipulation of our scriptures. That's the first thing we need to take note of, and then let's just see what it says, though. So, okay, I'm almost there. Almost there. Psalm 19:4. Okay, Psalm 119? Oh, 19. I thought it was 119. Sorry about that. I need new glasses. Okay, 19:4. Okay, so I love this psalm. Let me just read it from the beginning first, Kip. Okay, let's read it from the beginning. So it says the heavens, which means the stars. That's a code word, and the stars declare his glory, his illumination. The stars do, right? Of course. I mean, like you can imagine a primitive looking up in the sky and say, hey, buddy, doesn't that look like pictures up there? Like there's a Big Dipper and a Little Dipper, and you see this guy with a bow and arrow. I mean, come on, did somebody put that up there? I mean, how could they make pictures? How could the sky be making pictures, right? And hang on, I'll read to it, Skip, and I'll look back at your follow up there. Okay, and so the firmament, which is the sky. Firmament is a code word for the sky, and the other word for sky in the Yiddish Hebrew is Shekinah. And the Shekinah is the Shekinah. Actually, there's the Esha again, the royal eye of fire that came down. The Shekinah. The Shekinah is the fire, the royal eye of the fiery keys that came down. There's your duality, the fiery keys that came down, and the verse 1 again. And the firmament, that is the sky, shows his handiwork. Yeah, the sky. When we look up at the sky, we see the stars. At night, we see the planets. We see in the daytime the sun. We see the moon in day or night. And verse 2, and unto the day utter its speech. Day after day is the implication. Utters its speech. It's talking. Can anybody get the message? And night unto night shows the knowledge. Shows the knowledge. That which was breathed into Adam, that's the knowledge, because he defined all things. He named the zodiac. How did he know? How did he know that it takes 26,000 years to go in a complete cycle around the zodiac? How could he know that unless he was up there with Yeshua for like 4 billion years while he's making all things, you see? And so day and night utters speech, and night unto night shows knowledge. Verse 3, there is no speech. Get this. Here's the smoking point. There is no speech nor language where this voice, it says their voice in the King James, but it's where this voice is not heard. Where this voice is not heard. And we're talking about symbolism because it starts with the symbolism. And the Aryan, all capital letters in the Aramaic, what's called Phoenician alphabet, which is not Phoenicians, they just used it, is the true Sanskrit. And it was the symbolism that was breathed into Hadam. And so continuing in verse 4, the message, it says their line, but it's the message is gone out through the entire earth. The message, okay, of the one who made all things. That's the message. And their words, that words are Eshavors, the royal eye of what goes back to the light. That's why all ancient culture knew that the spirit was hiding behind the light, that all things came from the light. And their Eshavors, their words, to the end of the world, to the four corners of the earth. And in them hath he set a tabernacle, where? In the throne of the sun. There it is. Thank you, Kip. And he set the tabernacle in the throne of the sun. It says the tabernacle for the sun. Okay, so what he's saying is he made the sun a house. However you want to interpret it or read it, the sun is a tabernacle. It is a cell. Okay, you see? So, and so let me back up on your statements. Then desert are the sun and moon actual line. Well, the moon is the antithesis to the sun. The sun is the light where everything comes out. The moon represents darkness. So you have the beginning, you have the end. You have both are symbols of creation, but the moon represents the solid matter and the lower world. And that's why they followed the lunar cycle, and they were always looking for the new moon. When they use the first time you see the moon coming back into its phase, not the full moon, but the new moon, the little sliver. And then they blow the ram's horn, and that begins the new month. The new moon begins the new month. And so they were in the lower world. There were even ancients who acknowledged that the sun represented the Great Spirit, but that they could not serve the Great Spirit, and they were willing to serve the lower spirit in the darkness. This was ancient culture. You know, I read that 30 years ago. I don't remember what source I was reading it in, but they recognized that they were serving a lower deity, okay? A lower deity, and that they were waiting. So the lower deity that they were serving was Elahe. They were serving the matriarchy, the mother, the feminine creation, while they're waiting for who? The one who Yeshua introduced us to, which is the Father, right? What did they say at the Last Supper? Come on, Yeshua, stop toying with us. Just tell us who the Father is. Where's the Father? And, show him. We'll be happy to know. And he says, well, how long have I been with you and you haven't known me? When you see me, you see the Father, you see. Because they were serving the feminine, the mother, the lunar. And so in this aspect with the great light as a ram, now it represents the sun, where Mary as the virgin light coming down represents the sun, bringing forth the seed, the pure seed of light, Yeshua. At the same time, the male is the ram out of the sun. So it's the duality of male-female in all of the aspects of nature. This is the great mystery. So what we have to be able to do is define it in its metaphysics, in its metaphor, okay? In the cosmological aspect of what is being breathed here. It's a deep science, but you don't get this at the bullpit. They're not even allowed to. They got their board of directors telling them, you can't say this, you can't say that, and you can't say that, or you're going to lose your paycheck, okay? Sorry about that. Well, I'm so glad I don't get a paycheck, I guess, because, I haven't even had an automobile since 1996 because it's not been in the budget, not been in the budget, but that's okay. It keeps me in shape walking everywhere. But, okay, so we got Crystal and Desert. Okay, wait a minute. Hang on, Crystal. Desert, the word love translated a threefold chord, and the tabernacle is a resting place. Okay, right. Okay. I don't know what to make more out of that. Love comes from the word lava, and that's the volumes, the endless volumes. Love backwards is vol for volumes, and also evolve. And then Crystal, you're saying, Desert, did you read Nag Hammadi scriptures? What your take on their interpretation? Yeah, I decoded actually the Nag Hammadi because the Nag Hammadi was taken over by the United Nations translation team of UNESCO. by a bunch of occultists. James N. Robinson was the editor. Tell me, when you're going to have an editor with a translation team? Editor means to remove. And so what they did is they used code words like pleroma and archon and a lot of these obscure Greek words, they put in there so that when you're reading it, you're going to feel like you're on planet Mars and you can't interpret what it's really saying. So their whole idea, like, okay, so my classic saying is, the Nag Hammadi was uncovered and from the underneath the dirt, and then the United Nations UNESCO team buried it under dirt again. And of course, when you read the different introductions in the Robinson translation, in front of each different work, whoever did the translation is making his own introduction into each new work, and all they continued to do is discredit it all, like these were a bunch of boomerangs out in left field somewhere, and were bizarre people that had no idea who they were, why they were, when they were, and just came up with all this esoteric jargon, and they labeled them as Gnostics, which everybody views as a bad word, yet never once in their own writings did they ever refer to themselves as Gnostics. They were the ultimate in what we would think of when we use the word Christian, even though it would be correctly Moeshiakim, the Moeshiakim, those that plowed the field in the mind with power. There's your plow of your R, Moesha, the Yak, the Moeshiak, that's plowing, the that came out of the water and through the fire and are set on fire, So, I decoded it while I was being persecuted in my greatest ordeal. And that was the first small dictionary I made, was on the on the Nag Hammadi. And you'll find the code in the dictionary called the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, that we make available for any size donation. 300 pages, 8.5 by 11. You can have it today on PDF and blow your mind. Okay, the code of the Nag Hammadi is in the Real Da Vinci Code. Real Da Vinci Code. See, it's in the. You got to pay attention to the title. It's the Real Da Vinci Code. What's Da Vinci mean? The divine key. The divine key. The real divine key of the code that unlocks it all, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so. So Kip, you're saying we're good. Don't worry, we'll get back and finish Fenton here in a second. I'm just so grateful for the interaction. You don't know what it's like to be alone with all this in your head, nobody to talk to, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm so grateful for such wonderful souls to be a part of this broadcast. Just great people, all of you. I know that. It's so when there's so many idiots out there on the internet. It's so great to have some really decent and great people here. Let me see. I'm reading down. Sorry. Okay, that's same incredible insight, brother. Thank you, Kip. And going down, not love but line. So okay, that's what I was looking for. So line and desert. The word translated. Where was that from? Where did you? You're gonna have to repost your question, Kip. I'm getting cross-eyed looking at all these comments now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just repost your question, Kip, and I'll hit it up again. All right. And the translation, threefold cord. Okay. All right. So let me, and Crystal, you say, keep on bringing it. Love getting mind blown. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Our heads are throbbing right now. Brr, brr, and the Excedrin moment. Okay. So back to it. And we're almost done here with Fenton. And then we'll go to another break, and we'll cap it off with just a little bit on the other side. It's the day of the sun anyway, so we'll let the light shine. I think if I can hang in there, we'll have a follow-up. Maybe we'll do George Lamsa, the Old Covenant and New Testament light. Okay, we'll do that real quick. I had the dictionary for Waddle here. I was going to get into some of the Aryan aspects of the of our Aramaic also. So we'll see where we're going to go here. I had symbols also here. Okay, so on verse 21 in chapter 2 again. Remember, now I'm going to requalify this thing for anyone new coming in. The first chapter of Ganesha, which is Genesis, all the way through chapter 2, verse 3, is the Northern Kingdom's text. So it's called the Northern Kingdom's text. But starting in chapter 2, verse 4, we then have the Yahwistic text. And so it goes from just using the word God to Lord God, and that's the evidence of that, okay? And so back on verse 21 now. So the Yahweh, let me take a sip of my tonic one more time, okay? I can feel it. My voice doesn't want to stretch as much anymore the way I used to. I used to be able to go nonstop all night long, and now I've okay. So here we go. So the Yahweh, who is the great dole of fame, okay, he caused the man. Okay, he slept. Okay, and then it says he took out one of his ribs, but that's the code, because when we read it in the concordance, I saw it immediately as a code, because it is Rav. Rav. It's R-A-V, and it means the royal star. And so out of the royal star came the woman. So whether it came out of Adam himself or out of the sun is irrelevant, because both Adam and the sun were royal stars in the metaphor. You see, well, no, in the literal, the sun is a royal star, but Adam in the metaphor is a royal star. He was the shining one, the bright and shining one that they had to bury in the cosmic dust, and then give us a phony fabricated Luciferian Lucifer, this bright and shining one. But that was Adam. He was the one who named everything on earth. Come on, get with the picture here, ladies and gentlemen, of the great switch out that they did, so that we would never know. They got us thinking that Adam was some naked, stupid guy, right? Just naked, and his wife gave him an apple to eat. Never said apple in there. Fruit, the fruit of the loom. Okay, it meant, when you read the Septuagint, it says, and she gave to him, and he didn't. And in our King James says he did eat, but in the Septuagint it says, and he found pleasure. He found pleasure, because eating the fruit is what you do, right? You will know a tree by its fruit. You will know it, meaning you will know a tree by what it does. Okay, so we have to read deep and read the metaphor and the symbol. And what happened after all this happened? Whoa, she has a baby. Go figure. Oh, and they covered themselves with fig leaves, their private parts. Can anybody put two and two together? Look at the story, and yet because we can't process, and because we're afraid of criticism of somebody in the bullpit, saying, oh, no, didn't know. It was a tree, and then it was probably an apple, but, and the snake was in the tree. Wait a minute. Snakes can't talk. And yet everything was good. It said everything was good. No, it wasn't good. It was perfect. Everything that Yahweh made through Yeshua was perfect. It was good, it was perfect, and it was Yalsar, meaning the product of a star. So where are those devils and demons and Satan and Lucifer and all these things that supposedly go bump in the night? When everything was perfect, everything was good, everything was okay, unless it was man who fell. It was man who fell into corruption, into darkness. He became selfish, and then he invented all of these notions of aliens, and who are really Aryans, you see, and all these things that go bump in the night, because they don't want you looking at them. They want you looking at everything else except who's really involved, and it's the Aryan, it's the ancient Aryan Brahmin, and it's the Aryans that we find also at the Vatican. The cardinals, right? Okay, so I always get on a little bit of an elaboration here, because I got to keep coming at it from half a dozen different directions, because it's so I want people to see what is so clear to me, and to get the picture of how you've been lied to, be set free. And so let's see, Kip, you're saying sorry, Psalm 19:4, the word line, that sun and moon followed, translates a thick threefold cord. Right. Well, it's sun, earth, and moon. Okay, sun, earth, and moon. That's where this idea of the three coming together comes from. That's why Orion has 3 stars in his belt. You see, because it's telling us that the three hold, like holding up your pants. The belt holds up your pantaloons. The three hold everything together. What 3? In the primordial sense, sun, earth, and moon. 3 is synonymous with the word tree. Well, there's your tree of life. There's your tree that from the primordial beginning, and then the 3 represent also Father, Mother, Son. Father, Son, Spirit. Okay, Mother and Father are one. So when you say Father, well, Thur, Fae is the woman, the power of the woman. Oh, Father is Thur, the power of the woman. Whoa, you see? So when you say the word Father, you said Mother at the same time. Thur, but they corrupted the word into Fathor, do, re, mi, fa, to, la, si, do, okay? But we don't get the picture until we bring back the original form and the original thought, okay? So, yeah, I get on a roll here, but I hope you're following. Lynn just saying I need to lay down and still listening. Thank you and love this and all of you. Thank you, Ninja, for hanging in there and being on the other side of the world. And she needs some support too, ladies and gentlemen. Consider Ninja for a donation, okay? Because she's in a bad situation and she does all this work and loses sleep and she's got a very difficult situation and she needs a change. And it's going to be financial that helps her get out of there. Okay, so please consider Ninja for all she does here. Her beautiful spirit, that comes on and calls every program we do, and hoping other people will follow her lead. Okay, so let me continue here now on, and I hope I answered your question, Kip. Okay, it's pretty basic, and tree is tray, 3 tree tray, the same word. It took me near 40 years to make that connection. I looked at them. I knew they were connected, but I didn't know how tree and 3 connected, but I found it in the word tray because everything is on the tray. Everything is on the tree. Everything is on the 3. You see? It's the great mystery. It's the great mystery, ladies and gentlemen, but it's about the 3. Okay? And so meditate on that, okay? And also everybody needs to get a copy of the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. I may open it when we come back, as well as looking at that real quick. I'm not sure where I'm going yet, but I want to finish chapter 2 because then on the next broadcast we do, which will probably be next Saturday, because I don't like doing this in the evening when I'm a little more tired. So I'm going to wait probably till Saturday, even though we have 2 programs during the week, and we'll just ad lib on those programs. Okay, so here we are, and so on verse 22. And let me back up on 21 again. So Adam slept, and when he and one of his the royal stars, he closed up. He took her out of the royal star and closed the flesh in place. But this is where I have to do the transliteration of this because it's very deep. But bottom line is that Eve, Keva, correctly, came out of the royal star. And so did it mean she came out of the sun with him when he fell asleep? And then he woke up and he saw her there, standing there naked, or that naked actually, and or was she taken out of his side, because it's not rib. And also, what's interesting is that word Rav is the prime root for the word rabbi. It's not rabbi; it's rave, meaning the royal eye of a star. The royal eye of a star. Wouldn't that be what a rabbi supposedly would be? Would be a royal eye of a star. Right? You see what I'm saying? That's the original thought. And so it didn't mean literally she was taken from one of his ribs. That's the code. That's the priesthood's code. It's not the rib. It's from the royal star. That's what it means. So in other words, when they were going after Yeshua, and you know how in some of our scriptures it says they called him rabbi. They go, Rabbi, please stop for a moment. Can I talk to you? And so they weren't calling him rabbi. They were calling him royal star. They were running after him saying, royal star. He's a royal star, is he not? Of course he is. He knows everything. That's the ultimate royal star, the knowledge of light. And so that's where you have to see the code, ladies and gentlemen, that they tricked us, okay? They have tricked us. Glad I answered your question, Teresa. Okay, way to go. And so from the star, so from the royal star, which the Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, that's verse 22, had taken out of the Eshan, he constructed a woman. And so it says literally that she came out of him. So he is the royal star that she came out of. Okay? And taken out of the Eshan, he constructed a woman and brought her forth to the Eshan. And then the Eshan, the royal eye, he's got a royal eye because he knows how everything operates in the universe. He named everything. He's feeling pretty good. He's feeling pretty bright. He's got a head of knowledge that is the reason we have our modern civilization, actually. You see? And in and he brought the Eshaphe, correctly for the woman, the Eshaphe. Woman, in the literal sense in the English, means the judgment of mankind. But woman is correctly Eshaphe, the royal eye of the creative light, the royal eye of the creative light, and brought her to the Eshan. And then the Eshan, the man, breathed, this form is the bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. and she will be called Ashaphe, because she was taken from Ashan, and therefore she shall leave. Now I know it may say something different in the King James, because I think in there it says you are the mother of all living. I'd have to go back now, compare to translations without doing that right here. And Ashan, man, therefore will leave. Now this is where they corrupted it, because it's not the man who leaves mother and father. As you see in all the stories in Genesis, it's the woman who leaves the mother and father, goes to be joined to the husband. Why? Because the husband has the inheritance. There's your evidence of a great lie right there. Okay, because it's not the man that leaves mother and father and goes to be joined to his wife. It's the woman who goes to be joined to her husband, because he's going to get the inheritance of his mother and father. He would not leave his inheritance. Woman leaves. That's why she's called a daughter, because a daughter means doter. She dotes off. She darts off. Doter is dart. She darts off. She's the darter. Okay, all forms of the same word, and therefore, and they will be one body, one Buddha, one flower, and they were snaked, not naked, but snaked, like the snake. And the man and Ashan and his wife, but they were not ashamed, because they were innocent. But Adam actually knew something, and he's going to play a trick on his wife coming up in the next chapter, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned to the Forbidden History Live, okay? Forbidden History Live, where it's what they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. And because somebody's got to do it, and that's why we're doing it, okay? Because Yeshua instituted this from the beginning. I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out, but his greatness is so great that he takes somebody unworthy, unqualified, and he breathes into them. He gives them a vision to climb a mountain 40 years ago, Mount Whitney. Show them the mountain. Shelley, you got Mount Whitney there? Show them where I had my mountain experience, where when I came off the mountain, I saw things in a way I never could see them before. I learned the truth about living pure, that the whole idea of the transformation of our being was to separate from the corruption and to put on incorruption, and to go from being imperfect in the world to putting on the perfection. Thank you. Mount Whitney, Central California, 14,500 feet, the tallest peak in the contiguous United States of the fiction. And right at the very top center peak, the very big one, right up at the very top of that is where I sat, and I could see Yosemite from there, 100 miles, 150 miles to the north. Death Valley, 100 miles to the east. The lowest point and the highest point right next to each other. And I climbed up there to get a vision, ladies and gentlemen, because I saw what my parents did or didn't do for me, and I knew I was at a disadvantage in this world with the cards I was dealt, but yet that was what the Father instituted in me, to climb the mountain, and then and have this as a part of my story. The first place I lived at and when I was born was 98 Right Place, and then I fall victim to the government sting operation in 1998, laying on a concrete slab, and so that I would know when I thought back at the first place I lived until I was 5 years old was 98 Right Place. Wait a minute, 98 Right Place, 1998? These people want to kill me? Well, okay, you put me at the right place then, Father, just where I belong. Okay. You see, it's a vision. It's seeing the light. It's being able to read. You probably have a trail of visions behind you, and until you wake up to the full flower of the light, until your walls come down. When the first place they went to was Jericho, across the Jordan, and they camped around it 7 days, 7 the number of perfection. And then what happened? The walls came down. So once your walls can come down, and you're honest with yourself and honest with those who are around you and honest before the great Father of light, then what does Jericho mean? Yal Rico. When your walls come down, the Father is rich, and he will unload on you the treasure in heaven. And treasure is not in some bank account somewhere. It is on the throne of your Son, in your intellect, in your mind. It is the great delightment. That is the Elijah that goes round, not some guy named Elijah. But what does the word mean? The Eliyah, the eye of enlightenment that goes round. That's the Elijah that goes round. The enlightenment, ladies and gentlemen, the ability to have a vision, to be connected with the one, to put on the light, and to see things that nobody else can see, to speak about things that nobody else knows. They don't even know about it. They don't even care about it. To study the Indo-Germanic. Give me a break. Why do I have to study that nonsense? I don't even want to study the Greek or Hebrew. I'm going to go listen to my preacher for 45 minutes on Sunday, and I got instant salvation. I got my what do they call that thing? My indulgence. I got my indulgence on Sunday, okay? It says it right here. I got guaranteed salvation. Guaranteed. I can do whatever I want now. I now can be a part of a cause without an effect. I can go do wrong, and it ain't going to have an effect anymore. In other words, the wages of sin is not death anymore for somebody that's in that pagan tradition, right? A cause without an effect. So the wages of sin is death, and so therefore we have to die to this world to live. But then those who are in the false Christianity say, no, you're going to keep on sinning. You're going to keep on being stupid and doing wrong, and be a jerk, and whatever your stupidness is. But now you got salvation, so you can be stupid and dumb and do stupid stuff, but it's now a cause without an effect. No, cause is still with an effect. You do wrong, you pay the price. It brings death, spiritual death. You see? Spiritual death. And so this is the great mystery. This is what they don't want you to know, but we tell right here. And I'm so happy to do it. I'm so happy to have such wonderful friends toughing it out with me today. I can't get over it when we're usually here and we're doing it with just our engineers, because they get it. That's why they're here. They're here every broadcast. All right. And so we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to do it. We're going to close out. Okay. I'm not sure where I'm going yet, but we need a long break. Shelley, I'm sure we got another long song we can play, right? I know we've got others we played. I know we got a list that we're working through, but pick one out that, the one I really like is the one, that one that's about, oh, geez, what's it called? It's got that little girl on it, and then the guy asks her at the beginning of the song, what is prejudice? And she goes, I think it's something when somebody's sick. You know what that one is? It's called, is that called Abraham, Martin, and John? I don't know, but that would be a great one to listen to. I hope we wouldn't have to edit it out because we're testing new songs. Unless there's another long one you know about, okay, throw one in because I'm just I can't remember what we've already done. So go ahead and throw something up there, okay? Shelley's got a handle on it. I'm taking a break, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the final segment of Forbidden History Live. But they didn't want you to know that we tell right here because somebody's got to do it. I'm Dezert-Owl. Glad you're tuned in. Love to have all of you and hope you're telling your friends. Of course, you wanted to know, right? Your friends want to know too, so give them a call. Be right back.
Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders, 3 conductors, 25 sacks of mail. All along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out at Kankakee and rolls along past houses, farms, and fields, passing trains that have no name, and freight yards full of old black men, and the graveyards of the rusted automobiles. Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Dealing card games with the old man in a club car. Penny a point, ain't no one keeping score. Pass the paper bag that holds the bottle. Feel the wheels the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpets made of steel. Mothers with their babes asleep, rocking to the gentle beat, and the rhythm of the rails is all they feel. Good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Nighttime on the city of New Orleans, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by morning. Through the Mississippi darkness, rolling down to the sea. But all the towns and people seem to fade into a bad dream, and the steel rail still ain't heard the news. The conductor sings his songs again. The passengers will please refrain. This train got to disappear in railroad blues. Good night, America, how are you? Say, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done.
Stand by, stand by. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm looking for my voice to come through that mic. I hope we got it. We're good on the audio? Give me an audio check. I'm not coming through on the... Okay, there we go. Okay, good deal. All right, well, that was a nice train ride, wasn't it? And I used to love to play that song on the guitar. You know, I had a harmonica and, you know, did the Bob Dylan thing. I was a street singer in Vegas for one summer, you know, one half a year, and then I saw all that talent out there and figured, okay, I'm not going anywhere. And so then I had like 450 songs literally memorized, you know, off the top of my head. I was like a walking jukebox, you know, and I played a wide variety of songs, but still, you know, I really didn't have talent. I just liked to sing, and so, as you can tell, right? So the important part, the Father was priming me for the real singing that I needed to do, and the singing is right here. And sound is 10, Lynn. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ninja, that audio check. And Yochelleg, look at that. I got Yogeneers on top of it. And then all of you out there, you know, it's what a world, you know. It says that many seek to enter in, but few are going to be saved. And that's the great irony, ladies and gentlemen. And I know I want to wind down the program, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Yeah, it's been a long look. Geez, we're already been on for a good while. So let's wind it down. I think we'll just do Old Testament light, New Testament light, because you know, there's a lot of ground we're going to cover. We're doing a special topic, and it took me a long time to get there. It was great having new friends coming in and joining in with us. You know, the knowledge is for everyone. You know, it's so ironic that people, you know, they're in a stupor, you know, and they're thinking like, okay, you know, you're here, And the only real important thing is to figure out why you're here and who you are and when you are and why you are, because you're going somewhere, and where you're going is to dirt. You're going to go to a box with, that's 6.5 feet long, and you're going to be put in, or they're going to, cremate you, but you're going somewhere. Okay. You're going somewhere, but your spirit will not die. Your spirit has to go somewhere after this experience. And the question is, where are you going to go, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. So the truth sets us free. And the freedom we're talking about is real. It's the one that when they nailed him to the cross, they didn't care. They were looking up with a smile on their face. Those first Christians, who were not Christians by title, but we can use it. It's okay. They had something. They had something that nobody else had. And so do with me what you will. They went to the lions, looking up and giving thanks to the Father above, not flinching. Well, when we read about what was it, Polycarp or Ignatius, he says, pray that when they throw me to the lions, that the lions will eat every bit of me, and that I will not encumber anyone to have to bury any part of me. They literally wanted, give me the best torture, because they had something. They had something that we all have to have. The illusion is that they told us we already got something, but if you're living in with your eyes closed, if you're doing things that are still contrary to the Father of light, then you couldn't have the Spirit, because as it clearly says in Hebrews, if we were to if we had the Spirit and we did things that are contrary, and fell back into perdition, fell back into closing our eyes, doing things that are not right, then obviously we don't have the Spirit. But if we did, it said the Spirit would leave us and that we can never receive the Spirit again. So you see, we're on a journey discovering the truth and knowing that that thing that is the promise that is offered to us is so great, so phenomenal. It's the same breath that breathed into the sun and ignited it. It's the same breath that wants to breathe into you, that will transform your being. Remember, the followers of Yeshua were not transformed at his crucifixion. They were not transformed until 50 days later at what's called Pentecost. There's the star, the 5-pointed star, which is the 50th day for the Jubilee, which means all debts are paid, and then 120 of them are in a room, and the wind blows the windows open, and out comes the fiery balls of fire landing on each one of them. Balls of fire. That's the correct translation of the scriptures that came out of Tibet. Not tongues of fire, balls of fire, like the symbols of the sun, symbols of the soul, and that all of a sudden they were speaking in the unknown tongues, and also in the foreign tongues of the Mediterranean world. And then pop out the front doors and start. And Peter, who betrayed his elder brother, and said he didn't even know who he was, and even swore, by oath, not cursed, but he swore by oath that he didn't know him. He's the one coming out the gate with the oratory. Okay, he was transformed. That's when they were transformed, at that moment, not before. So there's an experience that has to happen. And we have to prepare ourselves to receive that. It's the parable of the virgins. They're trimming their lamps. Your body is your lamp. It's purifying your action, your behavior, your thoughts, your soul. And then at one point the marriage is going to happen, and because you are truly a virgin now, because you cleaned up your act, your life, then the marriage can happen. That's the second coming. The second coming after the rising from death. What better comeback can you have? Then the second coming is continually ongoing, because those who are ready can receive him. You see, he was ready when he came back. Okay? And so you can have that second coming experience of the Spirit, because he crucified the flesh, not coming back a second time in the flesh. He comes back as Spirit. And it's been coming back for the last 2,000 years as Spirit. That is the second coming. And it was instituted when he rose from the dead, conquered the flesh, and proved that he was the seed of the sun, seed of light, sky god, whatever you want to call it, because it wasn't the word God, it was Elohim. Elohim of the sky, the enlightened ones of the sky. That's what it means. Elohim, the Elohim, the Ulafim. You know? You're hearing Nation of Warriors you're not going to hear anywhere else because they're all under the spell, ladies and gentlemen. And unless you know how to spell, you'll be under the spell. So that's what we're doing right here is we're spelling it out for you because somebody has to prime you. You've got to be primed. And if you're not primed, then you're not going to be able to transcend, okay? Because this, all we have to do is start the engine by priming it. We prime it, we crank it, put it. Oh, it almost started. Let's try it again. Oh, no, didn't start that time. Let's try it again. And all of a sudden, it's rolling, baby, you know, and it's going, you know. And so once you got it, once you get the foundation of what this Indo-Germanic is like, and it's so easy because we're speaking it in our modern time. It's only been abbreviated. It's only been corrupted. But then at one point, you know, and then why would you ever want to, you know, have to know Greek or Hebrew when you found out you're actually speaking the original in this great mystery, in the great lie that they fed us their papal bull with, you know? And yeah, the great breath of the wind and fire. That's the original terminology for spirit, okay? And so let me fix my books on the desk. I want to get my legs up so I can relax. I'm not, yeah, so let's do Lamsa, and then we'll probably call it a diel, okay? Diel is the sun going round. It's not a day, it's a diel. See how they abbreviated the word? Right there, they abbreviated it. They don't want you to know it's a dial. They don't want you to, you know, they want you, you know, then that means that the earth is round, right? That's why they don't want you to know it's a dial. They want you to think the earth is flat, and like, you know, some people's heads are flat. Their thinking is flat, you know? And I guess then the Father is not very great because he couldn't make a sphere, you know, and what's on the bottom anyway? What's underneath? Oh, it's just an aquarium. Oh, we're in an aquarium. I see. Yeah, we're in an aquarium. We're like fish. Okay. You know, no, I think nature speaks for itself. You know, it really does. But people don't know how to interpret. They don't know how to read. That's the problem. So here we are. We're on speech. Oh, that's a good one. In Lamsa, this is Old Testament Light. Old Testament Light by George Lamsa. And out of Ganesha, there we are in Ganesha, chapter 2 again. How about that? 2:16. And the Lord God, but that's Yahweh, who is the great Elohim, commanded the Eshan, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. Okay, what does that mean? It didn't mean you can pick the fruit off of all these other trees, but don't eat the fruit on this tree. That's not what it means. It mean when it says that every tree of the garden you may freely eat, what he meant was you can do anything you want to do. Go for it. Do whatever you want to do. Okay, it's yours. I put you into this lower garden. Have at it. Live. Figure it out. Breathe. Find pleasure in the simple things, you know? And so that's what it means. The fruit. Remember, you know a tree by its fruit. What you do. And so when he says that of all the trees you may freely eat, means you can do anything you want to do. Because they were innocent. Remember? What do you tell your little boys and girls when they're 2 years old? Oh, you know, go have fun, right? Go have fun. Go play. You don't warn them. You know, you don't warn them, you know, because they're innocent. They don't know even to do or think wrong. It happens in the great mystery. At one point, we all become corrupted, right? That one day when we went to that cookie jar, then we realized we weren't supposed to. We lied. You know, that's when we fell. That's when we fell in our innocence. That's the first time we fell on earth. When we lied, we became afraid. We knew, oh, wait a minute, I did something I wasn't supposed to do. Stupid me. Now I'm going to hide the cookie behind my back and hope nobody sees it, you know? So we were all innocent. That's the innocence of Adam and Eve, but yet the difference is that star ram, he wasn't a serpent. He was the star navigator. That's what they hid with the word serpent. It was the star navigator, the original word for prophet, and he knew how everything operated, babe. And I even know what you're all about, baby. And I think I want you because I waited 4 billion years for you, okay? So let's get it on. And then she says, wait a minute, weren't we told We weren't supposed to do this? He said, no, because the great Elohim knows that when we do this thing, we'll become creators, just like he is. And we will know the difference between sun and moon, the light and the darkness. Yes. And that was his fall, you see, because he lied to her. And because they were supposed to do it by permission at the time that was right, after they had grown, but it didn't happen. That's right. That didn't happen. And you only get the story here, Just Love. Good name. And it's amazing the amount of knowledge in your head, Desert. Yeah, my head is exploding, T Love, and it's just prior to this broadcast a year ago, my phone didn't ring. I didn't have nobody to talk to. Nobody would interview me. My YouTube channels were being sabotaged. My computers are being sabotaged by the local Masons, and because they hate me because they know I know too much, and and the king has no clothes. Once somebody like me comes around, then they know they're naked. But I didn't come here to expose them. Really, they got me. They compelled me to talk about them because they've been targeting me here, and that's okay. So yeah, we're the Father protects, and I'm not concerned about it. I'm going to speak truth for as long as I can, and then and hope that I can relocate and we can continue this work, And but yeah, I've been needing some help to relocate. That's why we need support. If everybody would just once a month, find something they could commit once a month, we can publish the Book of Wisdom, and get it to those in prison, that are crying today. Today they're crying. At least probably 100,000 of them all around America, not to mention the prisons of the world, in tears because they're enslaved, put in a cage, never hurt anybody, never committed a common law crime, just didn't know the yellow line was there, committed a statutory breach on a code, rule, or regulation of some paperwork somewhere, And all right, well, thank you so much. So let's read now on speech. I read the scripture that to eat from the fruit of any tree means to do whatever you want. So now I'm reading Lamsa. All of Yahweh's communication with Adam and Keva, correctly Keva, not Eve, took place in a divine revelation or intuition. As long as Adam and Keva were obedient to the great Elohim and maintained their perfection, as that's what Lamsa is saying here, maintained their perfection because they were perfect, they were made perfect. And Isabel, good to have you on the broadcast. I think this is your first time here, so welcome. You're a little late, but you can hear the replay once it gets uploaded. We're at the end of a broadcast. So as long as Adam and Keva were obedient and perfect, they perceived every command of the great Elohim, meaning they had a direct communication. They had a direct link. They had a direct connection. Okay? And yeah, that's what we all want, right? We want the direct connection, and we've been broken from the connection. And that's why we're not enlightened. Okay? So there was no language, and that's a bad word, but I'll use it because, we can't go into all these directions. And there was no language at that early time as we have today. Well, today it's corrupted. They had the pure diction. All Eshavors and tongues well, this is what was breathed into Adam, in other words, is what we're talking about in the Indo-Germanic. And so continuing here, this is also true of the star navigators and the Eshan of Yahweh, who after overcoming their physical weaknesses communed with the great Elohim by means of dreams or divine revelations or the direct intervention and often the use of nature right before our eyes. The great Elohim spoke to Zavram-Haim, that's Abraham. He's Zavram-Haim, that's where the word sovereign comes from. Spoke to Zavram-Haim and Eshayak, that's Isaac, and to Yochelleg, that's Jacob. Yochelleg means the seed of light. Eshayak, Isaac, is the prime root, the suffix of Moeshiach. Eshayak is Moeshiach, you see. And that's the son of Zavram-Haim, Abraham. And unto Vol-Eshaphe, that's Joseph, Vol-Eshaphe, in dreams and visions, he spoke. At times, the Eshavors, the words and ideas were conveyed in a symbolic form. Of course, it's all symbolic. The letter of the alphabet is symbolic. Because they are symbols. Adam and Keva could hear the inner voice speaking to them. Maybe it was an outer voice. Lamsa's making a conclusion here, but it's in more than one way, guiding them and admonishing them. In fact, when it said that the Elohim was walking in the garden in the morning, that was Yeshua, who come down from the light and was walking in a physical form. That's why they hid themselves. Why would they hide themselves behind bushes unless Yeshua was literally walking in the garden, right? That's because they knew they wouldn't be hiding from a spirit, but if it were an Elohim walking on two legs, certainly they're going to hide in the bushes, you know? And Isabel, how did you hear about us? Did you find us on the right margin as a live broadcast, or did you find us by on another channel, or did you just stumble in? I'm always curious. I'm trying to take a mini survey all the time. So if you want to put down how you heard about us, that'd be fine if you can type it out. Otherwise, you're here in the U.S. or are you outside the States somewhere? Just want to get to know you. We have a wonderful group of friends that are here every time we're broadcasting. We do almost 7 days a week. We're about 6 days a week, I think, and we're trying to make lemonade out of lemons. If you like lemonade, then you're at the right place, because we take the lemons that they gave us that are sour and don't they make you want to cry. Unlike the onion, the layers of the onion. As you keep going through the onion, you keep crying. But once you get to the center, it's sweet, okay? It's sweet. And so we're now in the New Testament light, which New Testament is correctly the everlasting Kevanun. Kevanun is covenant. Covenant is a corruption. And so I'm sure that Isabel has not been following I don't know, maybe you have been following. Let us know if you've been listening to another broadcast, or is this your first time hearing us. But so covenant, Covenant, is correctly Keva, Cava, Keva, with the T on it. Noon. That's Keva. Wait a minute, Keva is actually with the KH. Oh, wow. See, there is no C in the original, right? And so here it is. Here's Kevanun. There's how the difference between covenant and and the original thought. That's the Indo-Germanic Kevanun. And what does it mean? It means the fiery keys of the serpent at high noon. You see, the serpent always gets a bad rap, but the serpent is, in the primordial sense, the light that keeps going around. Okay, around and around and around. That's the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. Okay, so covenant is Kevanun. The T is silent, and this is how we rebuild. We go back into the construction of the original thought, Isabel. Okay, if you've not followed our broadcast before, so just wanted to give you an example there. We've been deceived. We've been lied to. Now, okay, so you see the word Yeshua up there, which is the correct title, royal title for our Redeemer, but it's an abbreviated form. It's not the final. It's not the original, but it's the middle ground, because we know we can lose people if we go to Shelley. Show them the next slide, and we'll see that the most primitive is Yal Shulen Va. Yal Shulen Va means the knowledge of the serpent that goes round. Well, everything is the serpent in the great mystery. That's why Adam and Eve were also serpents. Adam, the serpent, was talking to his counterpart, wanting to embrace her, and had to lie to her in order to do that. And so that's why I just said Kevanun. Kevanun then means the fiery keys of the serpent at high noon. So you see the relationship between Yal Shulam Va as in Keva Nun. Keva Nun is covenant, but you see the Vat, V-A-T. Then we see it in the word Vatican, the Vat of Cain. Oh, Vatican, the serpent of Cain, Vatican. Okay, there. Let's type that one out. Okay, V-A-T-I-C-A-N. See how the Pope likes this. Okay, is the serpent, and the T is actually silent. It's a symbol. The serpent of Cain. And Cain is a corruption, but that's good enough. So Vatican means the vat of Cain, the serpent of Cain, you see? And sure, they go back. They that's why when you get knighted by the Queen of England, they're Canaanites, right? They're knighted with the silent K. What does the silent K mean if symbols rule the world? The K stands for Cain. Cainited. They became Cainites in their garden of the flow of war, the flower, right? The Ganun, or what is it? The Garden, which means the sound of war. Their idea of a garden and flowers is the flow of war in the sounds of war, perpetual war. And to keep the population down, of course, not to mention put your worst enemy on the front line, just like David did, right? He wanted Bathsheba. Whoa, that was quite a deal, He committed murder to have Solomon. So what's that all about? So that's a story for another day. But there is an answer to that story, okay? And because what it implies is that through the corruption of this world comes out the light. Let there be light. It is the darkness that we found first, and the darkness introduces us to the light. You see, we fell into the darkness, and then we saw the light, and I said, hey, I like to follow that star. Make me a star navigator. I want to get out of here. Let me follow the star, okay? And welcome to Ellie, all ears for you. Okay, all ears for you. Good to have you. And so the Queen of Sheba, this is in New Testament light. We'll still call it that because you got to find the book with the title they give. So it's New Testament light, even though it is Everlasting Kevanun, the New Testament light by George Lamsa. And so he's in Matthew 12:42. Let me just take another sip of my drink real quick, okay? I'm feeling a little hoarse now. We're at the end of our broadcast, and this is going to wrap it up right here. And Lamsa is just like FENTON, which we just finished, is the best out of the Greek and Hebrew. FENTON, Lamsa came out of the Aramaic. He came out of Kurdistan, northeastern Iraq. Okay, in the hill country where nobody bothered him for 2,000 years. Nobody bothered him. Okay, so the Queen of Sheba. And so the Queen of the South, this is Matthew 12:42. The Queen of the South, and by the way, Sheba is Shiva. Okay, the B is a corruption. We talk about the original letter. In fact, on Ninja's program on Friday, we just did the letter B. Go to NinjaCat 111, and you'll hear where we discuss the letter B and show that it's really the V. And so it's not Sheba, it's Shiva. Oh, Shiva out of India. He's visited. I guess that's why they changed the name from Yahweh, mispronounced as Yahweh, into Adonai, correctly Done, which is the blood drinking god of the Phoenicians, the Done, but means the fiery sunrise, the eye of the sun that rises. And when you read it backwards, Done is India. So you see, so there's Shiva coming to visit him, So I guess it's a premonition, okay, of what was to happen after Israel was banished and annihilated in 730 BC, and then finally the smaller tribe of Utah is banished to Babylon in approximately 500 BC, and the Israel then was no more, gone, zip, dissolved, contract destroyed, broken, rejected, annihilated. Okay, so what came back is a pseudo-Israel. That's why they brought back the Babylonian Talmud with them. Okay? That's why they came back with the Babylonian Talmud, because it was now merchants running the show, and Edomites, which are correctly the Adamites, or the children of Esau, who is correctly Yochelleg, and therefore the ones that lost the birthright were the ones that took over Jerusalem at the end when Yeshua was here 2,000 years ago. Oh, what a switch out. What a story. We got so much to talk about. Okay, so what it says here is the Queen of the South will rise up in the judgment with this generation and will condemn it. And for she came from the uttermost parts of the earth to give ear to the wisdom of Solomon. And you must see it for yourself. A greater than Solomon is here. Okay, I just primed you on that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really talked out. I can tell right now I can't make it through these 3 small chapters. Okay, so I'm going to let it go with that. We'll pick it up on that New Testament light the next time we we get to it. We go through a different series of books on different days where we have so much to share with you. You know, the Colburn Bible, the Colburn, you know, if you don't know about it, it's not really called the Colburn Bible. It's called the Colburn, but it was the Bible of Joseph of Arimathea, and the great uncle of Yeshua, and a great nobleman, and one who was the uncle of Mary, and they ultimately had to escape to Britain, into Glastonbury, 3 years after Yeshua rose from the dead and came back. Okay, and then the Sanhedrin wanted to kill the royal family, and they put him out on a boat without oars or a sail, hoped they would drift and die. Fortunately, they made it to northern Africa, and then from there went to his buddy Tiberius Caesar and regrouped, and then walked across France on the Phoenician Trail into England and Britain, and that's where they finished their lives out. Okay, it's another part of the story we'll be talking about in the future. There's so much to share, so little time. They've destroyed our world. Our ozone layer's down. I've got my windows blocked with plastic right now, thick, dark plastic lids from containers, you know, that block out the UVC. You've got to protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen, from the UVB and the UVC. You can't play out in the sun anymore, okay? Your little ones can't go run out. It's most damaging to the little boys and girls and their DNA structure, and also to the elderly. It breaks down your muscle tissue and your ligaments, and you'll pull your joints and your ligaments. You can't walk. You can't have your little boys and girls go running out in the rain anymore, because their feet will absorb all the toxins that they put, all the poisons they put in the rain. Okay, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're out there somewhere in the far reaches of deception, and nobody gets it. Everybody every day going down the road, they're just thinking they're having a party, and our world is crashing. Mass starvation is about to occur. Okay, within the next 2 years, global starvation will be upon us. I wish somebody could prove me wrong. Okay, I love it, but go listen to Dane Wigington. Go listen to Higher Truth Rises. Okay, and go listen to Mr. MBB 333. Okay, with his meter readings. The meters don't lie. That when UVC is supposed to be 0, they're upwards. The highest reading was just a couple weeks ago, or about 2 weeks ago, 70. Somewhere here in America, 70, when it's supposed to be at 0. Okay? You got to protect your family. You got to know it's over, game over. The only thing we have left is our eternal walk. We got to now prepare to tough it out and be ready to and be good to go. Connect with the one who made all things, and because he knows all things, and he'll be there for you. He's been there for me in so many desperate situations, ladies and gentlemen, and I wasn't worthy of it. Okay, he's still working on me, but he's working on all of us. Whoever he says, whoever he gives a Bitcoin to, like the talent, you know, you better do your job. Some people he gives a penny, a nickel, a dime, a quarter, whatever. So whatever he gives you, be loyal with it, and get tight with him, okay? And then share it with others, because we can't be saved without trying to save others. We're not going to save the world, but we may be able to help a brother, a sister, a neighbor, a friend, a little one, you know? Maybe, ladies and gentlemen, just maybe we can do that, okay? So I want to thank you all for tuning in today, for all of you sharing your thoughts and keeping me motivated on this broadcast. And we're going to be back at it, let's see, on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on NinjaCat 111. Check the description section below the program here. You know, that it gives all the different links and the times and everything. Okay? So way to go. Shelley, thanks for your engineering today. Thank you for all of you. Lynn, for Yogeneering as well. And so just don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dezert-Owl telling you, if you want to know the future, then you need to look for the Forbidden History, because it's all right here. You know it's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. And somebody's got to do it. And just come on back, and we'll play it again one more time. As long as the world keeps turning anyway, right? Tell that to the Flat Earthers. I'll see you.
Starry, starry, starry night. Paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills. Sketch the trees and the daffodils. catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze, swirling clouds in violet haze, reflect in Vincent's eyes of china blue, colors changing hue. Morning fields of amber grain, weathered faces lined in pain, are soothed beneath the artist's loving hand. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you, but still your love was true. And when no hope was left inside on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, the silver thorn, a bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, and how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never